The pirate journey of Arceus. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 901, Reverse Scale. Shortly after Kaido and Red Hair's mysterious meeting, in addition to the Navy's focus on alert, Tesoro naturally became the subject of the interview. It was at this time that they discovered that the beast fruit had become a special enterprise that was too big to be eliminated. If the enterprise was forcibly sanctioned, what would happen to the beast fruit? The complaints from the celestial dragons would be a headache for the world government. The reduction in tax revenue, a large number of unemployed employees, and even the public opinion caused by Tesoro's celebrity status would be a big trouble. This is not just the impact of an ordinary pirate group. For the world government, a pirate has never been a threat, even the so-called Emperor of the Sea. In their view, only those who shake the foundation of the world government can be considered a crisis. Now the beasts have already shown signs of touching the bottom line in this regard. Tesoro's words made them at a loss as to what to say. I'm just a money bag. Have you ever seen a money bag that can control a gun? Not to mention that this money bag is not mine. The mainstream policy of the world government is to let these pirates divert the contradictions of the people and pursue the so-called balance. If the beasts can be more obedient and do less, they are not even willing to intervene in the affairs of the beasts. However, the beasts will make a big noise every other day. Since Kaido raided the G1 branch, the noise has become bigger and bigger. As long as the interests are sufficient, the tolerance of the world government is still very high. Morgans violated orders every other day and exposed the scandals of the world government and still lived well. On the one hand, he does hide, and on the other hand, the world government has not made up its mind to deal with him. The benefits brought by the World Economic News Agency are still greater than the disadvantages. The world government has no plans to go to war now, but wants to weaken the beasts, so a new plan has been proposed to turn Tesoro against the beasts. Tesoro behaves differently from the pirates of the beasts. Since his debut, he has either performed as a star on the stage, or done various businesses, and he has no wanted notice. If he can be turned against, it will not only get huge profits, but also many benefits such as secret intelligence about the beasts. A secret operation against Izulo gradually unfolded. While they were still preparing, 2 Dragonites sent by Gideo had already arrived at the new headquarters of the beast fruit. Arceus knew very well what Izulo cared about. Money, fame and fortune were all external things to him. He cared the most about Stella. As long as Stella was fine, Izulo would remain loyal. He had experienced the power of Arceus and knew that there was a true god hidden in the beast. It was a good use of Dragonite to make a part-time bodyguard while serving as a career. Dragonite was not the only Pokemon that could be a career. The reason for choosing Dragonite was that Dragonite's own powerful strength could handle more situations. Originally, the cat boss that Stella kept was a special bodyguard, but as time went by, the cat boss's force was slightly insufficient. It was okay to deal with ordinary thieves, but it was still a little bit short of dealing with professional CP agents. In Tezulo's home, there were 2 new guests on the dining table, Dragonite. It's not strange for Pokemon to be at the table for dinner. For people with a strong enough bond, they are part of the family, they can understand human language, and they have human emotions. For such people, Pokemon are just humans with different appearances. In a sense, Gardevoir and the like even have a more special side. Is this the new bodyguard that Lord Arceus mentioned? This is a little too cute. Looking at Dragonite's appearance, Tesoro couldn't help but be a little stunned. He was naturally happy that Arceus said he had assigned him 2 new Pokemon, but Dragonite's appearance was really not intimidating. It's good. It's so cute. As long as you like it, Lord Arceus will never lie. But you should reduce your travel recently. I don't know what those guys in the world government are thinking. Their behavior is a bit strange. You too, be careful. Just push some things away. Don't worry, I know my limits. Those people won't do anything openly, and I'm not afraid of them in private. If it was in Tesoro's home turf, he wouldn't be afraid of any enemy, unless they were at the level of a general. Even a general could be touched. Although losing his home turf would make him weak, not everyone could deal with him. If you pay attention, you will find that Tesoro has changed his dressing style recently, and the number of gold ornaments on his body has increased significantly. The world government's actions are still very fast. When Tesoro returned to his workplace again, he noticed that there was one more person in the room. Sneaking in. Is this your style? Tesoro closed the door behind him and looked at the masked man in white in front of him. CP0, I don't think I have anything worthy of your dispatch. Gilda Tesoro, you are a smart man. I won't say some nonsense. This is the opportunity given to you by the higher ups. Pirates are pirates after all. There is no future in working for them. This is not your way of recruiting people. How can it be attractive? You have to give me some visible benefits. It's useless to draw cakes. What do you think you can give me? But before you draw a conclusion, you'd better think about whether you can afford the price. Tesoro's words made the CP0 fall into silence. To recruit people, they must give enough benefits, which they naturally know. The problem is, as Tesoro said, his price is a bit high, and they may not be able to afford the price. But it doesn't matter, the CP0 organization has always been unscrupulous in doing things. In addition to sweet dates, they also have a big stick in their hands. Tesoro, you'd better not forget your former identity in Champerland. We can make you lose some things at any time. It's good to make money, but you have to live to spend it. Don't forget that you also have people you cherish. Using relatives to threaten others is also a common method of CP0. In order to make some people serve the celestial dragons honestly, CP0 often uses their families as bargaining chips. If you cooperate, you will get more benefits, and your family can also maintain their current brilliant identity. He didn't finish his words, but suddenly felt a murderous aura. Tesoro was staring at him at this time. That aura was definitely not what a star or a businessman should have. I hate it most when people use this kind of thing to threaten me. Chapter 902 You will experience a new way of dying. Having experienced despair, Tesoro knows how to cherish the present. Stella is his Achilles heel, and this is his weakness. Anyone who wants to start from this aspect will face his crazy revenge. He worked hard for the beast fruit, because Yamato helped him at the time when he was most helpless, gave him a ladder to climb up, and continued to give corresponding rewards in the future. He received rewards while paying, and could see his own future. Of course, he would not be a traitor, especially in the face of such threats. He would not choose to compromise. There are only zero and countless times of compromise. He loves Stella, but once he compromises with other forces because of this, he puts his weakness on the table. This will not only fail to make Stella safer, but will make her more dangerous. No matter what he was coerced to do, it was a very bad beginning. With the expansion of desire, those people will continue to coerce him to do more dangerous things. You are such a courageous fellow. The gold ornaments on Tesoro's body began to melt gradually. He had been thinking about how to deal with the CP0 in front of him. This was a signal. His attitude was likely to affect the subsequent actions of the world government. Since the world government did not use force to meet him, it meant that they were not planning to overturn the table. Tesoro believed that the CP0 in front of him was just a test. If he showed weakness, the world government would inevitably intensify the situation and make policies that were more unfavorable to him. Only by being tough enough could they adjust their policies while taking into account the situation in the sea and the attitude of the celestial dragons. After thinking about it, the gradually melted gold ornaments returned to their original appearance. Tesoro was not going to reveal this trump card yet, so he decided to try another way. Swish. Tesoro's fingertips flashed with cold light, and a cross-shaped dent appeared on the ground. That's a good reaction. You actually dodged it. Tesoro, do you know what you are doing? What nonsense are you talking about? Of course I know what I'm doing. I'm very interested in your life now. Arsehole, you are declaring war on the world government. No, 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 don't think too highly of yourself. Unless I kill you directly in public on the live broadcast, that won't happen. Listening to CP0's words, Tesoro was very comfortable. The world government has always used CP0 as a tool. If this tool cannot play the expected effect, the world government will not mind changing to a new tool. With the relationship with the celestial dragons, he can be sure that even to the world government, his value is much higher than that of a CP0, and they will never turn against each other because of this matter. After all, this is just a private occasion, and it will not have a bad impact at all. People like you, don't you know what CP0 stands for? I think you have been brainwashed too much, so you can't figure out your position. You might as well guess, assuming that I agree to join the world government, and the condition is your life, will they agree? To put it bluntly, in the eyes of the celestial dragons, both you and I are just their dogs. When two dogs bite each other tightly and only one can be saved, they will of course choose the one they like more. To put it nicely, you and I are both pawns, but my value is far greater than yours. The blue compound eyes replaced the original pupils, and the arms turned into huge needles. Tsuruo waved the bee sting in his hand, and attacked the CP0 in front of him. The CP0 originally thought that Tsuruo only had a little ability to protect himself, but after the fight, he realized how outrageous his perception was. This guy doesn't look like a businessman at all. The two bee stings danced vigorously, and the powerful domineering aura was even better than that of him who had been trained by the world government since childhood, and had carried out many missions. After he narrowly avoided Tsuruo's fatal blow, he found that a golden ring was put around his neck. Although I have always disliked you agents, you are definitely the one I hate the most. Since you want to please your master, you will pay the price. Under the influence of Tsuruo's ability, the golden ring began to shrink, and the CP0 was instantly enveloped by a strong sense of suffocation. When he tried hard to break the hard golden ring, Tsuruo kicked him into the wall with a sidekick. You have a strong physical fitness. I hope your luck is so good. Tsuruo did not kill him directly, but found Bakura after confirming that he had lost consciousness. He did not intend to kill him personally. Bakura, your ability should be fine, right? Yes, but this is the first time I've used it on a living person. It doesn't matter, just do your best. I'll make a backup plan. If this doesn't work, I'll try another way. Yes, I'll try my best. Bakura squatted down and placed her palm on the forehead of the CP0. She didn't take her palm away until more than 10 minutes later. As the user of the lucky fruit, her fruit has a very small direct increase in combat, but this kind of fruit that is biased towards the rule system is often more unsolvable. Except for a few strong people, who can be immune to the ability of this kind of fruit with their own domineering, others have no way to deal with it. Bakura's ability can deprive others of their luck, and there is a unique way to die called unlucky death. Being killed by a coconut while traveling on the beach, being sitting in the room, and encountering a dump truck crashing into the house, and being shot down by his own anti-aircraft gun while inspecting the battlefield. The deaths of these unlucky people all come surprisingly unexpectedly. Some people can't die, even if they fall from the sky island. Some people will die on the stairs. Some people can't die, even if they hold the bomb, and some strong people will die inexplicably in the explosion. It's hard to describe the luck of these people as bad, but they can only say that they lack the camp buff. This is also Bakura's in-depth development of the lucky fruit. As long as the degree of extraction is increased, she can affect a person's next encounter. This is a terrifying ability that even Usopp will be affected. After that, Tsuruo put the CP0 into a sack and threw it out. After he woke up, he thought that Tsuruo was finally scared and didn't dare to kill him. When he was about to report to his boss, he found that the Dendenmushi was broken for some reason, and his teammates also lost contact. Because it was a Dendenmushi of the CP agency, ordinary Dendenmushi couldn't get in at all, so he had to go to a nearby safe house. As soon as he entered, the safe house caught fire and almost burned him to death. He planned to take a boat back to the Red Earth continent, but the ship hit a reef and sank halfway. He finally robbed a pirate ship, but when he was about to reach his destination, a gradually growing magma fist appeared in his field of vision. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 903 Top Assassination and Drake Balance. Mirajoa is now under martial law. Any unidentified ship approaching will be sunk directly. The CP0 robbed a pirate ship. Although he wisely changed the flag, he was still attacked. He didn't know why the Dendenmushi near him would break inexplicably, and even a Dendenmushi died in his hands. The flagpole would break inexplicably when he used the flag signal, and he would encounter sea fog inexplicably when he used the sign language. When he wanted to abandon the ship and land quickly, he was attacked by a Kaido. The order he received was to destroy any suspicious ships and protect the absolute safety of Mirajoa. Therefore, facing this CP0, his actions were completely in line with the order. Mr. Tesoro, that guy's dead, and I don't know the cause of death. The luck of the lucky fruit is borrowed, although it can be consumed. If the original owner of the luck dies before this luck is exhausted, then the luck borrowed by Bakura will also disappear. She did not use the luck plundered from the body of the CP0, but the stored luck disappeared abruptly. There is only one result, that is, the provider of the luck is dead. The lucky fruit is a strange fruit that abides by the principle of conservation at a certain level. If someone is lucky, then someone else will be unlucky. Now that the unlucky person is gone, the luck will naturally leave. She had made similar attempts before, but this was the first time she had such a large scale. This kind of death level bad luck cannot be achieved by a simple touch. She needs a long time of contact to accomplish this. The actual application value is not high, but in assassination, this ability is first class and useful. The death of the CP0 made the follow-up investigation of the world government confused. They didn't believe you that this matter had nothing to do with Tesoro, but it was Akainu who eventually caused his death, and the subsequent investigators did not find any clues. If they had to give a reason, it was bad luck. They couldn't imagine that a person could be so unlucky. If this was really done by Tesoro, they all wanted to invite Tesoro to guide them. This is simply the most perfect assassination. Even senior CP0s dare not say that they can do it so flawlessly. No one knows what happened to Tesoro. The CP0 who was also on a mission besides Stella also disappeared abruptly. It was the two Dragonites who did it. According to the subsequent reaction, Tesoro was very angry, which made the world government slightly adjust its subsequent policies to prepare for future changes. Recently, the sea has been very uneasy. Many new pirates have emerged in the fourth seas, and the situation in the new world has become more and more weird. According to the information of the Navy intelligence personnel, shortly after Kaido and Red Hair's meeting ended, Red Hair seemed to try to contact Whitebird. They suspected that the Sea Emperors were planning a huge conspiracy. In fact, not only the Navy, but even Charlotte Linlin was a little confused. What these three men did seemed to exclude her completely. The changes in the outside world did not affect the headquarters of the four emperors. Whitebird's hometown is still peaceful. Charlotte Linlin has not had an attack of Guillemia recently. There has been no riot on Cake Island. Red Hair holds banquets every day to protect a large number of old, weak, sick and disabled pirates under his command. And the changes in Wano are not small. For example, Jin and Drake are gradually taking over other tasks. With the change of Hiyori Kazuki's mentality, Drake and Jin's positions gradually became somewhat redundant. Now, one Greninja is enough to deal with the Flower Capital Palace. Jin has not appeared here for a while, which is a good thing for Hiyori Kazuki. Jin used to intimidate Hiyori Kazuki a lot. The mask is synonymous with terror for her. Drake didn't go out much, but was still waiting for her delivery. Thank you very much. I'll treat you to food when you are free. After receiving the express box sent by Dragonite, Drake instinctively promised to treat her and added an extra item to her account book. Her account book is very special. Most people's account books only record their past borrowing experiences, but she is different. Drake usually writes down the people who intend to borrow money directly, which can be regarded as an alternative means of advance payment. Since Dragonite Post was popularized within the 100 Beasts, Drake's package can be regarded as the best among the 100 Beasts. The exclusive black card with unlimited credit limit has helped her a lot, at least making her life a lot better. This time, the package included a lot of camping supplies, and she was planning to go out for a vacation recently. As a senior debtor, Drake rarely asked for leave, because she would spend money every time she was free. If she took too many vacations, it might cause her balance of borrowing and repaying money to be broken. This situation was alleviated after she found the stone slab and received a huge bonus last time. Although she was not a person who could save money, she was relatively well off recently, and she just planned to take Xayanoju out for a good time. Lord Hiyori, I have to leave Wano country for a while. Please take care of yourself. In the Palace of Flower Capital, Kikunojo was saying goodbye to Kazuki Hiyori. This was the original agreement. Drake would take care of Kazuki Hiyori while he climbed the holy mountain, and he also paid some conditions, but Drake had not cashed out and planned to use it in a suitable place. Recently, she took advantage of the fact that there was no new task arrangement and planned to take a good vacation to rest, which happened to use up the favor that Kikunojo owed her. For her, this was also an opportunity to enhance their relationship. When two people go out to play alone, they will always encounter some interesting things. Go ahead. There's no need to report such a small matter to me. Hiyori Kazuki, who was in a bad state, was indifferent to this and just enjoyed the convenience brought by his status as a general. Oh, by the way, these are some things I sorted out. If you want to go out and play, just take a look for me in advance. After thinking about it, Hiyori Kazuki handed Kikunojo something like a travel guide. With the change of her mentality, the beasts gradually relaxed their authority over her, and she also learned more about the outside world, including some famous tourist islands. These other places she planned to go, but she is the general of Wano country after all. Even if the beasts no longer confine her, it is not so easy to travel freely. When she heard that Kikunojo was going out, she simply let him experience it. Yes. Thank you for your concern. I will pay attention to these places. He still has loyalty to Kazuki in his bones. In his opinion, this special travel guide can be regarded as a gift from the Lord. After packing his luggage, he was pulled by Drake to leave Wano country and began a special journey for the two of them. Chapter 904, The Source of Funds, The Darkness That Intrudes. From a personal perspective, it is quite convenient for Drake and Kikunosuke to travel. Drake is just carefree in character, more masculine than men, but there is no problem with gender recognition, and he wears ordinary women's clothing. Kikunosuke, on the other hand, has a different cognition. He always thinks that he is a woman, wears women's clothing, and has living habits similar to women. This means that, when they go out, they only need to visit women's clothing stores. The same problem is caused by psychological cognition. In Denjiro's view, even if Kikunosuke compromises, he is taking advantage. But from Kikunosuke's perspective, it is a girlfriend with problematic sexual orientation who is not really a girlfriend who stares at him every day, which makes him a little unacceptable. Kazuki Oten has been dead for 18 years. During the long time together, Kikunosuke's perception of Drake has also changed to a certain extent, but he only regards him as a friend with whom he can talk, and there is still a long way to go before he can get closer. Hey, you guys better keep your hands to yourself. Ah, it's breaking. It's about to break. Let go. Drake and Kikunojo were on a cruise ship at this time. Kikunojo was watching the sunset on the deck, but suddenly there was a noisy sound behind him. At this time, Drake was stepping on a man and twisting his arm into a strange shape. Let me correct you. It's not about to break. It's already broken. If you can't control your hands, you will have to pay the price. With a snap, the man's arm completely softened, and it looked like it had become a comminuted fracture, and he fainted directly because of the severe pain. The woman in front of him was so violent that she completely scared the people nearby. Miss Drake, should we let him go? Ah, Aju, you can't always be so soft-hearted. This guy has it all to blame. Who told him to put his hands on you? But he has already fainted. It was at this time that the guards on the ship ran over and looked at the unconscious man on the ground, a little at a loss. Sir Will, what did you two women do to Sir Will? A man who looked like a butler also appeared in the crowd. When he saw the man lying on the ground, he immediately exclaimed, "Sir, this guy's actually a knight. Your kingdom is really rotten." What did you say? Guards. Where are the guards? Quickly arrest the man who hurt Sir Will. There are many people of all kinds on this cruise ship. Some people also bring a large number of guards when they are playing. This knight called Will is one of them. Looking at the soldiers who surrounded him, Kikunojo pulled Drake's arm. He was not worried about Drake's safety, but he was afraid that Drake would get angry and kill all the people around him. Drake's behavior just now reminded him that, although she has a generous side, her profession is a pirate. But Drake's behavior made Kikunojo not understand. Not only did she not take action, she also made a gesture of surrender and asked the other party what to do. Miss Drake, what do you want to do? What? Of course I want to have fun. It's a rare trip, so I have to enjoy life. Under the care of the doctor on the ship, Sir Will slowly woke up. When his butler whispered something to him, he also gave his own answer. Pay compensation. You dared to hurt me so badly. Medical expenses, mental damage compensation. Don't even think about it without 10 million baileys. If you can't afford it, you and your friends should be honest. As a person who stretched out his hands on the ship, his purpose was very clear. The so-called compensation was just an excuse, but he didn't expect that Drake had already taken out a stack of bills and threw it in front of him. In order to have a good trip, she brought enough baileys, and 10 million was not difficult for her. 10 million is just a part. This is not enough. He seemed to think that Drake was afraid of his guards, and he started to raise the price on the spot, asking for higher and higher amounts, and Drake never refuted. More and more people gathered to watch the fun, and some even helped Sir Will to stir up trouble. Seeing the smile on Will's face becoming more and more rampant, Drake was ready to close a net. Bang! A gunshot brought silence to the deck. Looking at the smoking barrel in Drake's hand, some people had a bad feeling in their hearts. Will's men stand on the right, those who just made trouble stand on the left, and those who watch the fun get out of here. Let's start the robbery now. Drake was originally worried that the travel funds were not enough. Will was a cash machine delivered to her door. Just now, it was just her entertainment of playing cat and mouse. What a joke. A woman still wants to learn from those pirates. The guards and soldiers around did not compromise, but surrounded Drake. But the next moment, they flew back at a faster speed. I'm not learning. I'm a pirate. Or should I change my clothes? Drake took off the wig on her head, and then threw away the coat she was wearing, revealing the pattern of the pirate flag on her back. Only then did the people on the ship recognize who she was. Francis Drake, the Beast Pirates, Lacey, Bounty, 500 million baileys. Will was as arrogant as he was just now, and after all the property was swept away, Drake broke his other arm, and then took Kikunojo away from the cruise ship in a lifeboat. If she didn't want to appear too cruel, it wouldn't be just a matter of 2 arms. With Will's friendly funding, Drake obtained a large sum of money and then continued his journey. With the reference of Kazuki Hiyori, they soon came to the first half of the Grand Line and met a special person on a summer island. Come out, I've been following you all the way. What do you want to do? Thief, hahaha, did you notice? You are such a perceptive woman. I'm recruiting soldiers now, and I think you're pretty good, and you look okay too. Do you want to join my pirate group? The girl next to you can come too. A middle-aged man with a rough appearance, thick hair on his body, and a burly figure appeared on the street. With 3 pistols and a bottle of rum stuffed around his waist and all kinds of accessories on his body, Drake was no stranger to this man, or rather, the pirates in the New World were very familiar with him. Blackbird, Marshall D. Teach, the man who betrayed Whitebird. The bounty offered by the Whitebird pirates made him completely famous in the New World. Since Roger's death, he is the first pirate to violate Whitebird's iron law. Chapter 905 Blackbird's Recruitment. Facing Whitebird's pursuit, Blackbird successfully escaped from the New World and began to recruit soldiers to form his own pirate group. As an ambitious man, he lurked in the Whitebird pirates for decades and bet his youth on this ship. It was not until the appearance of the dark fruit that he exposed his ambition. In order to achieve his goals, a team of his own is indispensable, so when he was on the run, he was looking for subordinates worth recruiting. Laffit, Vanoka, Jesus Bages, and Poison Q were the first team he recruited along the way. Although his ambition was obvious at this time, his goal was not the 7 warlords of the sea. Now that the Straw Hat has just arrived at Whiskey Peak, the 7 warlords of the sea are fully staffed, and he has no chance to add them in. Without special circumstances, the world government will not easily replace the candidates for the 7 warlords of the sea, otherwise it will be a slap in its own face. It is not easy to get a seat in the 7 Warlords of the Sea by defeating another 7 Warlords of the Sea. Therefore, Blackbeard has not yet come up with the idea of catching a qualified bounty criminal and handing him over to the world government in exchange for the position of Shichibuke. He is really recruiting Drake. As an ambitious man, he needs a lot of manpower to achieve his goals. High quality cadres are what he urgently needs. He is even similar to Rocks in this respect. No matter what purpose his subordinates have, he dares to take them, as long as they are willing to join him. Although such a pirate group has no cohesion, it can gather a lot of combat power in a short time. As for Whitebeard's tremor fruit, he can endure for decades in order to obtain the dark fruit, and he doesn't mind waiting for a few more years to find a more suitable opportunity. At this time, he has no intention of confronting Whitebeard head on, otherwise he would not choose to escape from the New World. Recruiting Drake was a whim, and he didn't expect to meet the cadres of the New World pirates here. The famous cadres under the 4 emperors are all strong, and naturally belong to the target range of Blackbeard's recruitment. Although the overall appearance of the Blackbeard pirates is extremely low, Blackbeard's own aesthetics is still normal. Whether it is Drake or Kikunojo, they are above the aesthetic line for him. The scar on Drake's face did not destroy his beauty. If Kikunojo hadn't said it himself, no one would have thought that he was a man. Even if they saw it, they might not be able to accept this fact. Recruit me? You are really brave. No wonder you dared to kill your companions on Whitebeard's ship. It seems that you don't find this flag scary either. Drake didn't mean to threaten the other party with the flag of the beasts. Since this guy dared to kill another captain of Whitebeard on Whitebeard's main ship, it means that this guy has no respect for the Emperor of the Sea like ordinary pirates. It's just that provoking different Emperors of the Sea in succession reminded Drake of the warrior a few years ago. Although no one remembered his name, his feat has been passed down to this day. Times are progressing. This is a new era. This sea needs new blood. Those old guys should have ended. It sounds like you are courting death. I have no interest at all. Besides, you are too ugly. I refuse to work with guys like you. If someone had talked to her like this before she joined the beasts, it would have aroused Drake's interest. If the captain was more handsome, she wouldn't mind fighting with him. She didn't mind joining others, nor did she mind whether the new captain was a good guy or a bad guy. As long as she could accept it, and there was something worth following, she would make her own choice. The end of prosperity will eventually be loneliness, but Drake can enjoy the pleasure of loneliness. Bravely move forward, overcome, plunder, and then prosper. Love money but don't take it, waving the money in your hands. This is her way of life, and it is also the reason why she is an eternal Moonlight tribe. Powerful enemies are terrible, but defeating them is also a kind of enjoyment. Failure may lead to death, but such death is also a perfect ending. Of course, in addition to the wrong time, appearance is also a big problem. She was obsessed with looks, and Blackbeard's face blocked the possibility of the two of them having a connection. Hahaha, Captain, she said you're ugly. If you think about it carefully, it doesn't seem to be a problem. Badgers and Laffit did not refute Drake on behalf of Blackbeard, and seemed to agree with this, which made Blackbeard loudly rebuke them. That's enough of you guys. Have you forgotten who your captain is? After shutting up his men, he looked at Drake again. What a pity. I don't like this character. It seems that we are not destined to be together. Not necessarily. I remember that the price Whitebeard offered for you was quite high. It just so happens that I owe a lot of money recently. If I use you to exchange for money, it is also a good choice. You are really irritable, woman. I came to recruit you with sincerity and kindness, but you actually want my life. Do you mean to recruit someone by pointing a gun at their head in the dark? As Drake spoke, a ball made of lightning appeared in his hand, and then he threw it to the house beside him. At the same time, a gunshot was heard from a distance. The moment she found Blackbeard, she used her ability. With the effect of the perspective eye, she could see everything around her clearly, including Vanoka who was lurking in the distance. She did not despise this guy who dared to take action on Whitebeard's ship at all, and never thought that he was just out for a chat. Boom. A house was blown up into the sky by Drake's attack, and a figure jumped out of it. After rolling around a few times, he raised his gun and aimed at Drake again. You shot pretty accurately. I can feel your sincerity. Although he dodged, the hair rope behind Drake's head was still cut by the bullet. His long pink hair fell behind him, and his lion-like appearance replaced his original face. Haha, you are really a sharp reaction. Since you refuse to recruit me, I have to accept something else. I will accept the ability of the mythical beast species. From the moment he found Drake, he didn't want her to leave. He either wanted her to join him, or plunder her ability, so he let Vanoka hide in the distance. He always did things by any means necessary, and it was not unusual to have two preparations, but Vanoka in the distance was actually discovered by Drake directly, which was something he didn't expect. It should be that the normal observation hacky at that distance could not be sensed. He also attributed all this to Drake's own ability, and at the same time he became more interested in the other party's ability. Chapter 906, The Power of Darkness. Blackbeard's Arrogance. With the changes of the times, or the update of the version, different strong people have completely different views on strength. Kaido loves the powerful abilities of the animal system, but he also values the power of domineering, while Blackbeard is obsessed with powerful fruit abilities. Before the birth of the strange abilities of the beasts, which were attributed to the bloodline factor, the fantasy beast species has always been hailed as a devil fruit that is rarer than the natural system. In addition to its own physical bonus, the strange abilities brought by the fantasy beast species are also extremely powerful. The pursuit of various powerful abilities is also one of the reasons why Blackbeard longs to obtain the dark fruit. With the ability of the dark fruit, he can plunder the abilities of other ability users and break the rule that after the death of the ability user, the fruit will be randomly reborn in a certain place. If the recruitment fails, he will start with Drake's ability, which is what he planned. There are 5 in total. Zyadaju. Get ready for a fight. Kikunojo looks like a woman, but his own combat power is still strong enough. After all, he is an NPC in the later copy. He is proficient in 2-color domineering and swordsmanship, and he is more than enough to deal with ordinary enemies. Drake brought him out without worrying that he would be a burden to him. Kikunojo's fighting power is enough to become a Kada even for the New World pirates. I know. These people were not his former partners, so Kikunojo would naturally not hesitate to kill them. To him, Drake could still be considered a friend, while Blackbeard and his crew were the purest enemies. You guys have disturbed my trip, so you guys should pay me the price. Let me teach you how to greet people politely. Zilla Drake's fingertips were surrounded by electricity, and the bright electric light was so bright that others could not open their eyes even in the daytime. With his 5 fingers slightly open, Drake waved his palm towards Blackbeard in front of him. Crack, crack. Thunder in the daytime. Several dark clouds gathered in the sky, and as Drake waved his palm, lightning roared, and several electric currents fell from the sky and struck the people of the Blackbeard pirates. Get out of the way. The thunder that fell from the sky forced them to scatter far away. Fortunately for Badgers, Vanoka and others, there were not many thunder and lightning attacking them. Although they were embarrassed, they were still able to dodge. Blackbeard, who was the main target, was not so lucky. He was surrounded by a dense lightning net. After he dodged the first 2 thunder and lightning, the subsequent thunder and lightning still hit him directly. Ah. It hurts. Damn. It hurts. Boom. It hurts. It hurts. Blackbeard, who was hit by thunder and lightning, let out a painful wail. Without a trace of the dignity of a strong man, he rolled on the ground in such an embarrassing way and shouted madly in pain, as if this could reduce the pain in his body. His reaction stunned Drake. Few pirates fighting in the New World dared to say that they had never been injured. Even the top strong men were inevitably missing some parts, and even people like Yamato were no exception. Her arms were broken several times during her growth. Although Kaido had always been the one who hurt her the most from beginning to end, this could not change the fact that she had suffered a lot of injuries. Drake was sure that, even if the kid from Onigashima was injured during training, he wouldn't be so embarrassed. How could such a guy have the courage to challenge Whitebeard's bottom line? My impression of you was already very low, and now it has become negative. What right do you have to speak so arrogantly? All of you get out of here. You can't handle this woman yet. Pushing away the men around him, Blackbeard panted and climbed up again. He screamed very miserably just now, but he didn't seem to be injured, just with some more burnt marks. Just now, Badgers and others wanted to help him up, but the residual power of Drake's lightning was still there. When these people who were also struck by lightning approached, they caused strong static electricity, causing secondary damage to Blackbird. Aha. There's no way, this is the price. Although the dark fruit is a nature type fruit, it is different from other nature type fruits. Not only can it not transform into element to avoid attacks, but it will absorb all attacks. Whether it's a sword or a bullet, or your lightning, the damage they cause will be absorbed by me. Correspondingly, the pain I suffer is twice that of others. Is that so? No wonder you don't look hurt. But is it your habit to talk nonsense with your enemies? Haha, this is my sincerity. The No 4 of the Beast's pirates is indeed strong enough, and you have good abilities. Don't you really want to join me? I can reserve a position for you as a senior cadre in the Blackbird Pirates. Until this time, Blackbird still had the idea of recruiting Drake, but Drake still had no interest in it. I've already said that I'm not attracted to guys like you. It's more practical to exchange you for money with Whitebird. Double the pain. Only a madman like you would have such a masochistic tendency. Unfortunately, you can't kill me, and this alien fruit is the most brutal ability in history. Darkness poured out of Blackbird's body. Under the effect of darkness, the attack caused by Drake's attack was disappearing at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the darkness was still spreading around. Run. The captain is going to mess up. Seeing the darkness in Blackbird's body begin to spread, Badgers and others began to flee far away, and on the way they had to carry away Poison Q, who looked like he was about to die, and his horse. Xiaoju, stay away too. This guy is a bit dangerous. The Ronchian cat gave Drake a strong intuition. At this time, the hair on her back stood up, and her body was sending out a warning. Be careful. Kikunojo knew that Drake was much more powerful than him. In order not to hinder Drake, he set his sights on other members of the Blackbird Pirates, to prevent them from causing trouble behind his back. As for the residents who originally lived here, they had already fled when the battle began, and were now watching the situation from a distance. Blackbird didn't care about other people. He had full confidence in his abilities, and was showing off his abilities at this time. Hahaha, the so-called darkness is gravity, the power to attract and devour everything, the infinite gravity that does not let go of a single ray of light. Your lightning can't escape the swallowing of darkness either. Dark acupoints. The darkness enveloped everything around like a river. The boundless darkness formed a greedy swamp. Trees, rocks, houses, metals, everything was shattered in the distortion, and then disappeared in the darkness of Blackbird, leaving only a bare piece of land. This is the gravity of darkness, a powerful ability gained in exchange for pain. The darkness spread to the sky, and the things absorbed by Blackbird also formed a big ball, suspended above Drake, looking like it would fall down at any time. Chapter 907. Your ability is ineffective on me. Do you like explaining your abilities to others so much? Drake felt a strong sense of superiority from Blackbird's tone. This feeling made her feel familiar. Quinn was like this before. When he had a new invention and showed off in front of everyone, he used this tone. No, this is of course a special case. I said that you are worthy of my recruitment. Come and become my partner. Isn't the status of a senior cadre much better than a number 4? If you are willing, you can be the deputy captain. Blackbird is not going to popularize his abilities to everyone. He is showing off his capital to attract others to join him. As for the last sentence of deputy captain, Blackbird already has other intentions. He also knows that recruiting others is not something that can be done with just one sentence, so he will show his abilities and prove that he has the potential to stand at the top of the world. Don't look at me with that disgusting look. No matter how much nonsense you talk, I have no interest in you. Drake didn't care about the sphere of ruins above his head, but used his speed to approach Blackbird. The ruins in the sky also hit Drake under the control of Blackbird, but the slow attack couldn't even touch Drake's edge. The ruins of the house and rocks and other objects hit the ground and stirred up a lot of smoke and dust, but Drake's perspective eyes allowed her to completely ignore the obstruction of the smoke and dust, and her claws flashed with a deadly cold light as she grabbed Blackbird. This claw firmly grabbed Blackbird's abdomen, but the touch was very wrong. It was neither as hard as the defense provided by the armed color, nor as soft as an ordinary abdomen. This grab that was enough to disembowel a person was like a drop in the ocean and did not achieve the effect Drake expected. Seeing that Blackbird began to roll on the ground in pain again, Drake did not stop like before, but waved his tail to release countless star-like energy blocks to hit Blackbird. Dark water. Under the attack of the high-speed stars, Blackbird endured the pain and stretched out his right hand. The darkness gathered in his palm and absorbed all the high-speed stars released by Drake. It's useless. Another thing that my dark gravity can absorb is the power of the devil fruit. Natural, superhuman, animal, no matter which fruit ability user, they will be restrained by me. You should have felt it too, right? Blackbird increased the power of the dark water in his hand, trying to suck Drake in front of him, but although Drake's body shook slightly a few times, he was not sucked in as Blackbird expected. Strange, how could this happen? Gravity is part of the expression of the power of the dark fruit. Whether it is a power user or not, it will be affected by the gravity generated by the dark fruit. The previous house and stone are evidence. However, due to the devil fruit in their bodies, power users will feel powerless when facing Blackbird and are more likely to be sucked in by him. But Drake is a pure Pokemon power user, and there is no such thing as a devil fruit in his body. The dark fruit can absorb her attacks, but it can't have any other effects on her body. She is only facing pure gravity, which she can completely resist with her physique. Hahaha, you are really strong. You can actually resist my unfamiliar ability. Blackbird thought that all this was because he was not proficient enough. He didn't want to believe that what he had pursued for many years would be ineffective for the ability user. So either he was not proficient enough in the use of his ability, or Drake's physique was too strong. Then Blackbird continued to release the dark water and came to Drake at a completely different speed from before, grabbing her shoulder directly. I caught you, right? This time is the real power of the dark fruit. As long as I touch it, the ability of any ability user will be invalid. No matter how powerful the fruit ability is, it is ineffective against me. This time you should feel that your ability is no longer usable. Blackbird seemed to have noticed something wrong. Drake, who was caught by him, was still in the animal transformation state. You should know that the dark fruit has the same effect on other ability users as seawater and sea stone. Natural types cannot be transformed, and superhuman types cannot use their abilities. This is the special feature of the dark fruit. Theoretically, when he caught Drake, she should have cancelled her transformation. I underestimated your skills, but I'll give you what I just said. Your ability is also ineffective against me. Blackbird's reaction speed was beyond Drake's expectations. There were no weaklings in hand-to-hand combat among the carters of the beasts. The fact that he could successfully catch Drake showed that he had a certain foundation in physical skills with Blackbird, and this body was not as unbearable as she imagined. However, his purpose was completely shattered by the power of God. Facing a non-devil fruit ability user, his fruit nemesis ability naturally failed, and the next moment, he was forced to let go of Drake. Let go of your dirty hands. Because of the close proximity, Drake directly launched Crazy Volt, and the powerful electric current wrapped around his whole body. The double pain side effect of the dark fruit brought Blackbird even greater pain. The powerful electric current gave Blackbird a pair of black wrists, and Drake also transformed into a beast form. The change of form and the attack of the electric current forced Blackbird to let go of his hand. Then Drake's sharp teeth burned with fire, and the hot flame teeth bit directly into Blackbird's neck. Although biting with teeth is a bit indecent, she won't care about it if she can kill the enemy. Liberation. Blackbird raised his other arm, and a large number of stones and trees flew out from the darkness in his palm. These were the things he had sucked in with the dark acupuncture points before. Since they were not all discarded, they could be released again in this way. After forcing Drake back, Blackbird's face had lost its original calmness. Impossible. The dark fruit is the most brutal ability in history, and it is the nemesis of all ability users. How can you ignore the power of the dark fruit? This is impossible. Heh, this kind of question, someone will tell you when you go to hell. Arrogance and recklessness are Blackbird's huge weaknesses. When he thinks he has an advantage, he will appear extremely arrogant. For example, he just showed off his ability to Drake because he thinks he can directly control Drake. Drake is different. She is not interested in being a battlefield commentator. If you want to know what abilities she has, you can only slowly explore them in battle. Chapter 908, Alien. After accidentally seeing the devil fruit illustration, Blackbird came up with a special plan in his heart. For this reason, he gave up his dignity and asked Whitebird to let him get on the ship. Because at that time, in his opinion, only by boarding Whitebird's ship could he increase the possibility of obtaining the dark fruit. After hiding his ambitions for decades, he finally achieved his goal, but at this moment, a capable person ignored his dark gravity and ignored the suppression of the dark fruit on other fruit abilities. Previously, Drake could resist gravity, and Blackbird could still attribute it to his lack of proficiency in ability, but it was wrong that she could still use her ability after contact. For example, the previous situation was equivalent to him eating the rubber fruit, but it was not surprising that he had not yet become Nika. But now he has not even been able to obtain the most basic rubber body, which is something Blackbird cannot accept. If he had not tested his abilities on other capable people during his previous escape, he would have suspected that his decades of lurking were all in vain. Is there something different about the mythical beasts, or is this not an ability at all? Hahaha, I'm more interested in your ability. It's not too late for you to join me now. Even though the fight ended like this, Blackbird still didn't give up recruiting Drake. It was the same in his battle with Ace in the original timeline. Before Ace was defeated, he still recruited Ace, wanting Ace, a powerful fighter, to become his partner. In this regard, Blackbird also has his own confidence, believing that no matter what kind of person he is, he can eventually subdue the other party. Thunderfang 2. Drake no longer wanted to continue communicating with the arrogant man in front of her. Lightning formed her new claw blade. The violent lightning became extremely sharp after condensing into a solid. The sharp lightning spear pierced Blackbird's chest directly. Puff. The lightning spear pierced Blackbird's fat body. With the roar of lightning, Blackbird screamed again, but at the same time, he also punched Drake. Bang. Drake flew backwards, and after landing, he took several steps back before he could stabilize himself. This guy's fist is a bit troublesome. Rubbing her ribs, even the animal-like body made her feel pain under this blow. The seemingly funny body seemed to hide a very terrifying power. Dark water. Blackbird reached out and grasped the lightning that pierced his body. Under the influence of darkness, Drake's attack was gradually absorbed by darkness. Except for the sweat on his forehead, there was no sign of injury on Blackbird's body. This is also the ability of the dark fruit. It doubles the pain felt by the user, but does not double the effect of the attack. Instead, it can absorb the damage, so that it will not affect the user's body. It's useless. Even if your ability is so special, your attack will eventually be swallowed by darkness. My ability is invincible. Blackbird would rather believe that Drake is very special because of the mythical beast species, or that this is the product of other powers, and he is unwilling to accept that there is something wrong with his ability. Heh, the prejudice of a frog in a well is always funny. If you can take it all, and show it to me. Light began to gather at Drake's mouth, and the destruction light was taking shape quickly, like defending. This was a standard skill for most carders, and the stronger the person, the faster the speed of condensing the destruction light, and the shorter the stiffness afterwards. At this time, Kaido and Yamato used the destruction light instantly, and they would not fall into stiffness either. Drake was almost there, but the preparation for the attack was only a few seconds. No matter how many times it is useless, light or thunder, darkness is the final destination. Blackbird confidently stretched out his right hand. His ability to devour darkness was extremely strong, and he could absorb almost most of the attacks. Boom. Bang. Thunder and darkness alternated, and the battle between Blackbird and Drake gradually became white hot, accompanied by Blackbird's screams. But although he was always defeated, he did not suffer fatal injuries to his body. Most of the attacks were neutralized by the power of the dark fruit, and Drake did not gain an advantage in the physical battle. Blackbird's body is very special. It is said that this guy never needs to sleep and has more than twice the time to do other things as others. Many old members of the Whitebird Pirates know that he is such an outlier, and the first outsider to discover this characteristic should be Buggy. At the beginning, he swore to Shanks that Blackbeard had not slept for 3 days and 3 nights, which made people wonder if Buggy had been staring at him for 3 days and 3 nights. The Carters of the Beasts are really difficult to deal with. This is the first time that the captain has made such a big noise. Yes, it's not easy to deal with. At the edge of the battlefield between Drake and Blackbeard, the members of the Blackbeard pirates looked at the sky full of lightning with a little shock. According to their understanding, no 4 is not a big Carter, and such a Carter can also make such a big noise, which is far beyond their expectations. Stop talking nonsense. Come and help. This woman is too difficult to deal with. Vanoka and Laffit were chatting on the side. Poison Q was still lying on his horse with a dying look, and only Bages was really fighting with Kikunojo. Blackbeard chose these people more because they saw their potential. At this time, they had just joined the Blackbeard pirates and their own strength was limited. Although Kikunojo was a prisoner of war, she had fought for the beasts for many years, and her strength was constantly growing in countless battles. Bages initially looked down on this weak woman, so he proposed to fight Kikunojo, but now, within a few minutes, he regretted it. Swish! The dense sword light forced Bages back. Although he had a lot of brute force, his brute force was useless against Kikunojo, who mastered the high-level armed color. The several blood holes on his arm were proof of this. Just when he was about to behead him with a knife, a cane blocked him. Laffit came to Badgers with a slightly funny step and used his cane as a weapon to block Kikunojo's sharp blade. Miss, it's not good to be so fierce. Why can't you just wait for the battle over there to end? Kanksu Kasuk. Kikunojo turned around and continued to slash at Laffit. Among these people, Laffit gave him a very special feeling. From Laffit, Kikunojo sensed a different sense of crisis. Chapter 909, Blackbeard's Despicableness, the Legacy of the Son of God. In Kikunojo's eyes, Badgers is just a fool. It's easy to dodge pure brute force attacks. He can be completely suppressed in a few hits. He doesn't feel anything about Poison Q. His sickly look makes people feel that he may die at any time. And he doesn't seem to have any intention of fighting, and he is also not threatening. Vanoka's sniper rifle is good, and the manufacturing level of the gun is far beyond ordinary weapons. But the upper and lower limits of the sniper profession are very high, or in other words, there are very few strong people who rely entirely on guns to become famous in this sea. Beckman can threaten Kizaru to raise his hand with a gun, not because of how powerful his gun is, but because his domineering is strong enough. Before Vanoka's domineering training was put on the agenda by Blackbeard, he couldn't threaten Kikunojo either. Only Laffit, this weird man, made Kikunojo feel different. Unlike the fake smile on his face, this guy's really a bit dangerous. The Scythe of Snow. Seeing his cassock slashing in vain, Kikunojo turned the blade again and swung it at Laffit several times. A large number of circular slashes accompanied by the sound of breaking through the air slashed towards Laffit and Badgers on the ground. In the original timeline, Kikunojo and Kanjuro's battle seemed very indecisive. Even if Kanjuro revealed his identity as an undercover agent, Kikunojo still couldn't bear to kill him. But that was because Kanjuro was his friend who had known him since childhood, and Laffit and Badgers at this time did not have this relationship. Drake's battle also made him a little worried. At this time, Kikunojo just wanted to deal with the enemy in front of him as soon as possible so that he could help Drake. Laffit turned the cane in his hand and used the bent part to pull up Badgers on the ground. Then a pair of wings popped out from his back and flew into the air to avoid Kikunojo's slash. At the same time, several bullets were fired at Kikunojo, and the continuous shooting blocked Kikunojo's retreat, but Kikunojo simply used the tip of the knife to deflect the bullets directly, and also used the deflected bullets to hit several apples thrown at him. At the moment the apple was pierced, several explosions sounded, temporarily separating him from several members of the Blackbeard pirates. Vanoka's sniper and Poison Q's apple bomb continued to attack, but were broken by his slash again. The Kanksu sickle is his ultimate move, and it is also the origin of his nickname Kanksu. Through the special way of swinging the sword, his sword moves can cause greater damage to the wound, making it more difficult to heal. Of course, to the outside world, he has a more deterrent rhetoric. First of all, I'm a man. Secondly, the damage caused by my sword cannot be eliminated even in hell. It will be like the white snow that remains in early spring, tormenting your souls forever. If you can avoid it, just try it. It sounds good. I like you a little bit. Listening to Kikunojo's words, Laffit was not afraid, but excited. Kikunojo's intuition was not wrong. Laffit was a special one among these people. His strength was different from theirs, and his personality was also more abnormal. He was a sheriff in the West Sea, but he was notorious there because of excessive use of violence. In the end, he was even called the Devil Sheriff. He was eventually expelled from the country due to his brutal means. After coming to the Grand Line, he met Blackbird and was recruited by him. In addition to the ability to fly, Laffit also has a good courage and hypnotic ability. He dared to enter Merijoa alone to ask for the position of Shichibuke for Blackbird, and he was not timid even in front of Sengoku. The scars that can be left in hell just fit Laffit's preferences. Laffit met Kikunojo. Unlike the way Badgers was beaten before, Laffit and Kikunojo fought back and forth, and even had the upper hand because of his ability to fly. Poison Q was treating Badger's wounds. He always looked like he was about to die, but he couldn't swallow it. His medical skills were pretty good. Even if he couldn't cure the disease, he could still collect the bodies as a part-time undertaker. How could that guy's knife be so fast? This is the power of the new world. Vanoka came over from the side, and he didn't continue to snipe at the other party. Since he started lurking according to Blackbird's request, he felt that he could hit the target with every shot, but the result was either being struck by lightning, or almost being split in half by the flying slash. At this time, he was in the stage of doubting life, just like Badgers. I really underestimated you. It seems that you are not a villain who can only attack by surprise. Drake didn't know what happened on the ship of the Whitebird pirates, but according to her inference, Blackbird should have attacked Thatch by surprise, and did not give Thatch any chance to resist. If Thatch could make a cry for help, Blackbird would not be able to escape from the Moby Dick in front of Whitebird. Originally, she thought that it would not be difficult to do this if she relied on the trust of her companions to launch a sudden attack. As long as the difference in strength with Thatch was not big, she could accomplish this. But as the battle progressed, she felt that Blackbird was more and more difficult to deal with. In addition to the ability of the dark fruit, this guy's physical skills were not simple. Blackbird had left scars on red hair. The specific time was unknown, but Ace had asked Blackbird why he didn't become the captain. From this, it can be inferred that Blackbird, who had no fruit, was also able to serve as the captain on Whitebird's ship with his physical skills. After all, if you want to be a captain, it is not enough to compete for qualifications alone, but you also need a certain amount of strength. Hahaha, actually I didn't want to kill him at first. After all, we have been companions for a long time, and this was just an accident. But you are right about one thing, I'm indeed despicable dark water. A huge gravitational force was released from Blackbird's palm, but this time his target was not Drake, but Kikunojo. You seem to care about that guy a lot. What are you going to do now? Exclamation mark. Blackbird doesn't mind being called despicable, nor does he mind taking shortcuts to quickly end the fight. Whether it's recruiting or taking away his abilities, he has to defeat Drake, and for this, he doesn't hesitate to target Kikunojo. If it's just a head-on fight, Blackbird isn't afraid of the other party, but he's worried that there are still people from the beasts around, so he wants to end the fight as soon as possible. During the battle between Kikunojo and Laffit, the distance between the two gradually entered the range of influence of Blackbird's abilities. The sudden gravitational force disrupted Kikunojo's body balance, and Laffit seized the opportunity to briefly poke Kikunojo's chest with his cane. Even without the tip of the gun, the force from the cane penetrated into Kikunojo's body, causing his body to stiffen. Damn it, you bastard. Looking at Laffit, who was about to continue attacking Kikunojo, a strong electric current surged out of Drake's body, connecting her and Kikunojo together in an instant. Zerora, who was born in the world of pirates, originally developed a variant of the use of Volt Replacement, which changed the order of Volt Replacement. The original way of using it was that he would turn back immediately after attacking, and the next Pokemon would take over his battle, but with Zerora's change, he could quickly come to the front of friendly forces to support his teammates. Over the years, Zerora has further improved this skill, and did not keep it to himself. When Drake asked for advice, he taught her how to use this skill. When using this volt replacement, Drake's speed is enough to be comparable to lightning, and he almost came here at the speed of teleportation, but this also gave Blackbird a chance. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 910. You don't have to use your hands to dance. Blackbird's painful price. The lion's tail behind Drake rolled up Kikunojo, and then caught Laffit's follow-up attack with one hand. His free arm was swung out with electric light, and a large number of white feathers fell. Looking at the hideous scratches on his chest and the wings, that were almost broken, Laffit's already pale face was more terrified. Drake's casual attack blocked his retreat. Almost everything about him was within Drake's expectations. This was not the effect of observation, but muscle memory. She was originally Jin's deputy, and she fought with Jin a lot in daily training. Drake knew the fighting habits of the winged man very well. Moreover, for Drake, Blackbird was the biggest trouble. She used Volt Exchange to achieve special teleportation, but Blackbird didn't delay much time and followed. When he found that Drake really cared about Kikunojo, a large number of attacks were directed at Kikunojo. Because Blackbird himself had a good strength, Drake didn't fight him head on, but used her long range attack to attack Blackbird continuously. The damage absorbed by the dark water released by Blackbird's hand did not make him feel pain, but the attack on other parts was different. The continuous damage of lightning and the double damage of the dark fruit were superimposed, making Blackbird feel the pain of being tortured. Boom. The rising barrier blocked Blackbird's attack, and Kikunojo also recovered, but Blackbird took the opportunity to grab Drake's neck and pressed her to the ground. The darkness was released from the palm, and a large area of darkness spread to all parts of the ground. The gravity contained in it bound Kikunojo like a ghost hand, and even Drake felt a tearing sensation coming from outside the body. Thief, hahaha, you can't move now. Last chance, join me and become my partner. Otherwise, you and your companions can only die here. Blackbird once again felt that he had won the victory. With the hostage in hand, he once again issued his recruitment to Drake. Heh, has anyone ever told you that you are ugly and talkative, and you are annoying just by looking at you? You are such an ungrateful woman. Seeing that Drake, who was caught by him, was still mocking him, Blackbird's patience was almost exhausted. He looked Drake up and down, as if he was thinking about something, and the strength in his palm gradually increased little by little. Does it look good? Then you'd better open your eyes and see clearly. Arrogance will cost you a price. Ha. Ah. My eyes, my eyes. When he was about to take action, a dazzling light burst out from Drake's body, and even the people next to him were blinded. Blackbird, who had been staring at Drake, screamed in pain. It was a flash technique used for lighting. It was originally a skill for lighting in a cave environment, but this skill can also be used as a powerful flash bomb. Blackbird's hand was still on Drake's neck. The fierce flash made him want to strangle the opponent's neck, but before he could do anything, his body suffered a fatal blow. While he was talking nonsense, he didn't notice that Drake was doing something strange with his legs crossed. At the same time as the flash technique broke out, the Z crystal on Drake's body also lit up. The release of Z moves requires a process of awkward dancing, but this process is only to guide the power of Z crystal in the body. Awkward dancing is a prerequisite, but it can be changed to a certain extent. Just now, Drake used his feet instead of his hands to complete the awkward dancing and made the prerequisite for releasing Z moves. However, Blackbird didn't understand all this and regarded it as Drake's weak struggle. Before, Blackbird half knelt and pressed Drake to the ground, and at this angle, Drake could just kick his crotch. Go to hell. Ultimate Volt Thunderflash. Instead of hitting, he poured the power of lightning into his legs, and then kicked towards Blackbird's crotch. Crack. Even with the dark fruit, the sound of an egg breaking was heard by everyone. Before, Drake was wearing a pair of Martin boots, and the thick soles were harder than iron blocks under the blessing of domineering. Under the amplification of the Z move, Drake's attack was much more fierce than the previous one, and when Blackbird was careless, Drake's kick hit the bullseye. This was a pain that humans could not bear, let alone men. Even women could not bear such a kick, not to mention that Blackbird had a debuff that doubled the pain. Fun to the sky. This was the only feeling Blackbird had at the moment. He couldn't help but let go of Drake's hand and opened his mouth wide, but he couldn't make any noise. The indescribable pain could no longer be expressed by sound. The eye punch kick was a very useful combo, suitable for all kinds of street fights. The almost crippling blow completely aroused Blackbird's ferocity. After struggling to gather the strength in his body, Blackbird bent his fingers into claws and grabbed in the direction of Drake and Xiaoju. He had forgotten what he had said before and just wanted to kill the two people in front of him. After using the Z move, Drake entered a short period of exhaustion, but she still pushed Kikunojo behind her away, and a flash of blood flew into the air. But Blackbird had no strength to continue attacking. This attack was his last persistence. After that, he hugged his hands to his crotch, twisted and fell to the ground, and his body began to twitch uncontrollably. Miss Redek, your eyes don't talk nonsense. Let's go. I just don't have much strength, and I can't die yet. Let this guy recover. Covering her right eye, looking at Blackbird's subordinates who had not recovered from the flash technique, Drake immediately planned to leave here. The consumption of Z moves is already very high, and she consumed a lot of physical strength in the previous battle, plus the current injury. She has no follow-up combat power. Blackbird's vitality made her feel difficult. If he recovered, they would be in big trouble. Yes, I understand. Kikunojo helped Drake run to the dock in the distance, intending to temporarily leave this troublesome place. When Drake's flash technique disappeared, the two of them had long disappeared, and Laffit and others only saw Blackbird lying on the ground. Poison Q touched the part that Blackbird was covering with a look of disgust. Although his movements were very gentle, Blackbird still twitched a few times. What happened to the captain? Isn't it obvious? If it weren't for the dark fruit, even the giants would be crushed into pieces. But this pain can only be relieved by himself. Spreading his hands, Poison Q made his own diagnosis, and also said that he was powerless to do anything about the current situation. Chapter 911, The Choice Between Pain and Brokenness. Xiaoju's attitude changes. Hey. Poison Q. Is the captain really okay? He's been like this for a long time. Long after Drake and Kikunojo left, Blackbird still maintained his original movements. At first, there was something like black smoke wrapped around his body. It was the dark fruit absorbing the damage to his body. But now the black smoke has disappeared, and Blackbird is still lying on the ground. It's okay, it just hurts too much. If it were you, you would have died of pain a long time ago. You can only say that you are worthy of being the captain, to be able to take this double pain. Poison Q was preparing eye drops for Vanoka. For a sniper, Drake's flash technique is extremely harmful. If he is not careful, it may ruin his future sniping career. The double pain of the dark fruit cannot be relieved. Wearing Seaston handcuffs may alleviate the side effects of the double pain, but the damage caused by that cannot be reversed. Between double pain and broken balls, Blackbird has to make a choice. After a long time, Blackbird stood up tremblingly, holding his crotch, and walking towards the port step by step. Captain, where are you going? The Drum Kingdom. I heard that the doctors there are good. I think I need to go and see them. Captain, you look down on my medical skills. Stop talking nonsense. Lend me your horse. No, Captain. Zhuangsan can't carry you. You're too heavy. Poison Q rejected the request of the staggering Blackbird to borrow a horse. In the end, it was the Central Badgers who acted as the center and carried the disabled Blackbird away from this sad town. Rotom, the information still can't be transmitted. Sorry, Lotto, the body is damaged, the communication failed. Rotom's body floated on the boat and expressed helplessness about the communication failure. As one of the cadres, they also replaced the original Dendenmushi with Rotom. Rotom's ability is much more convenient than Dendenmushi in all aspects, but there is a drawback. It is not Rotom that has the ability to communicate, but the electrical body they host. Ovens, refrigerators, lawnmowers, rotoms living in different bodies can play different roles, but when their bodies are damaged, they become ordinary Pokemon and cannot communicate over long distances and in a timely manner like before. Did Blackbird's ability break it? Yes, Lotto. The electronic components were damaged in the battle, and it is beyond the scope of repair. Lotto. Rotom itself can also act as a repairman. Living in electrical appliances, they can clearly figure out where the damaged parts of the appliances are and repair them themselves, but they can't do anything about the root damage of the parts. What a troublesome guy. I underestimated him after all. Rotom's phone was damaged in her battle with Blackbird, which is why Drake can't contact other people now. Although she thinks Blackbird is not simple, she didn't expect that this guy is so hidden. Miss Drake, the record pointer was also broken in the battle. We will lose our way if we sail like this. It's okay. We can always find a way out. It's better to leave the island first. That guy is not right. His body is so weird that he doesn't look like a human. Any normal man would be half dead if he took that move. But that guy can still scream and fight back. Drake touched his bandaged right eye. He was recalling the details of the battle. Every time he was hit by lightning, Blackbird would scream, but that guy didn't seem to be fatally injured, especially the final ultimate volt crazy lightning flash, which didn't make him lose consciousness. This was something Drake didn't expect. The ultimate volt crazy lightning flash has no flaws in power, except that the release action is a little awkward. According to Blackbird's self-exposure, he will feel twice the pain of ordinary people, and can withstand double the egg-crushing attack. In a sense, this can be regarded as an alternative strongest man. Okay, go to the helm, find a way to contact Onigashima first, and you don't have to worry about the rest. She didn't know what the condition of her right eye was, but she had to go back to Onigashima for treatment. Blackbird's counterattack was not small at all. Logically, she should take a rest, but now she has no time to rest. Kikunojo knows a lot of things, but he can't operate a boat, which is also the biggest disadvantage of the native residents of Wano country. Due to the policy of isolation, few of them are good at ocean voyages. Let Kikunojo control the ship, and Drake is afraid that this small boat will really be left here. I'm sorry, Miss Drake. Why are you apologizing? I'm a burden to you. If it weren't for the gravity of that Blackbeard locking me, you wouldn't have been caught by him. It's okay. Aren't you also fighting with his men? It would be troublesome if that Laffit really got involved with me. And if you have to say it, it's my fault for not keeping an eye on my opponent. Don't blame yourself. But it's your eyes. A few tears slid down Kikunojo's face. He blamed himself for the injury to Drake's eyes, and felt full of self-blame for it. Oh, not bad. It seems that you really treat me as a friend this time, which is different from a few years ago. Looking at the tearful Kikunojo, Drake felt that she had gained something. At the beginning, she had a lot of interest in this face, but if Kikunojo still maintained the original attitude at this point, then she would not have to continue. From hostility to friendliness, and then to tears today, it can be seen that in Kikunojo's heart, Drake is no longer one of the enemies at the beginning. She was about to tell Kikunojo that she was fine, and that she would be cured, after returning to Onigashima. Pedro was a living example. He dug out one of his eyes, and was able to put it back, so it was almost the same for her. But then she thought, because of his status, Kikunojo didn't know how strong the treatment on the Holy Mountain was, and he hadn't seen how Pedro was cured. In his opinion, curing all diseases was different from having damaged organs. So she didn't tell the truth, and leaned on Kikunojo behind her with a dizzy look. This time Kikunojo didn't push, and took the initiative to take care of Drake during the subsequent voyage. The temporary damage to one eye didn't cause much impact on Drake, and his physical strength gradually recovered during the voyage. After a short voyage, he robbed another pirate ship. You guys, why don't you even have a dendenmushi? Don't pirates need phones now? A group of pirates huddled in a corner. No one dared to refute Drake's question. At this time, Kikunojo found a special person through the telescope. Chapter 912 Brothers Meet Again. The Great Pirate Era was not friendly. There were many pirate ships on the sea, which posed a great threat to merchant ships and civilians. But it was different for those who were strong enough. These pirate ships sailing on the sea were an opportunity. Kikunojo had just got a small boat at the port and left the island. This was mainly because Drake's physical strength had not recovered much at that time. He was not in a good condition after being hit twice on the chest by Laffit. It was not certain that he could sail out with a big ship. However, in the Grand Line, a small boat was not a long-term solution, so when they encountered other pirate ships, they chose to change ships. As for the method, of course, it was in accordance with the traditional rules of pirates. Those pirates originally refused, but even if Drake temporarily lost an eye, he could easily deal with these newcomers. Originally, she wanted to rob a Dendenmushi. The outer territory of the beasts still retained the Dendenmushi as a basic means of communication. As long as they could contact people, they could call for support or something. There was nothing wrong with the idea, but these pirates did not cooperate with her. Drake did not expect that there were pirates without Dendenmushi these days. Damn it, Dendenmushi don't have to pay for phone bills. Is it difficult for you to raise one? Unlike the mobile phone sold by Tesoro, Dendenmushi only need to feed snails. After installing fixed communication equipment, Dendenmushi are very adaptable. Even if they are frozen, they will not be affected as long as they are thawed in time. If you want, you can buy some decorations to create your own exclusive Dendenmushi. If you don't want to, it doesn't matter if you don't have any decorations. As a result, these pirates didn't have any. Big sister, there are only a dozen of us. We don't need this thing at all. Shut up. Without a ship doctor, a Dendenmushi, or even medicine, it's a miracle that your ship can get here. There's nothing useful except this record pointer. Are you newcomers who just set sail? How do you know we just set sail 3 days ago? You'd better go back to playing house as soon as possible. The life of a pirate is not suitable for you. Drake touched his head helplessly. He couldn't think of the right words to describe these naive pirates. If they hadn't been born in the Grand Line, they probably wouldn't even be able to pass the upside down mountain. Miss Drake, I found a pirate ship. Maybe we can seek some help from that ship. Huh? Our people? No, it's Whitebeard's people. Kikunosuke came over with a telescope and brought a message that Drake couldn't understand. I say, Kiku, although I just had a fight with Blackbeard, it is impossible for you to contact them with this. Don't be too naive. We are pirates, and Whitebeard and the beasts are enemies. If he saw the forces of Red Hair or Big Mom, or the forces of the 7 warlords of the sea such as the Empress and Doflamingo, Drake could go there, but not Whitebeard. Nowadays, when Whitebeard and the beasts meet outside, they are restrained not to fight, let alone ask for help. No, I saw my brother on that ship. Brother? You have a brother on the Whitebeard ship? Yes, in fact, you have seen it before. You saw it when you went out to fight with Miss Isuka. With Kikunojo's reminder, Drake realized what he was talking about. He also knew why Kikunojo's reaction was so strange during that battle. No one explored this issue at that time, and Kikunojo did not take the initiative to mention this matter, and it ended up with nothing. Just now, when he was observing other ships on the sea, he happened to see Izo on the ship. After Ace left, Whitebeard was still worried. Although he was restricted by the environment of the new world and could not leave there, he still sent several capable cadres to go out to find Ace and help him deal with the problem of Blackbeard. Izo was one of them, but they never caught up with Ace. His boat powered by the flame fruit was too fast. Ordinary pirate ships could not catch up at all, and because of the time difference, Izo and others never caught up with Ace. Is it the person dressed as a geisha? I have some impression of you when you say that. Yes, Miss Drake, please believe me, your eyes can't be delayed any longer. As one of the most important organs in the human body, the existence of eyes is very special. Once they are injured, they may cause an attack by the immune system. If not handled properly, the problem of one eye can easily spread. Drake has a strong physique and there is no problem with infection in her eyes, but in Kikunojo's opinion, it still needs to be handled as soon as possible. He is a captain, so I believe you. According to these pirates, it will take half a month to reach the next island, and she doesn't want to delay anymore. This injury won't kill her, but it will hurt. She's not a masochist, so she'll definitely deal with it as soon as possible. At this time, a small whale-shaped pirate ship was sailing on the sea. The whitebird pirates are large in scale. In addition to the Moby Dick and ships that imitate the appearance of the Moby Dick, there are similar small ships to facilitate their travel. Captain Izo, a ship is approaching us. They signal that it's your acquaintance. Acquaintance? How can I have acquaintances in a place like this? Give me the telescope. Although puzzled, Izo still asked for the telescope, and then saw Kikunosuke waving at him. Akira? Izo did not follow Kazuki Oden to board Roger's ship, nor did he follow him back to Wano country. Since the day he boarded Whitebird's ship, Izo has been staying here. In the original timeline, he has always maintained his identity as a member of Whitebird. In the end, because of his lack of firm belief in Oden, he lost his faction buff and died in the decisive battle on Onigashima. The last time he saw Kikunosuke was during the war with the beasts. It was also during that time that the Whitebird pirates discovered the problem with Oden, but after the battle between Whitebird and Kaido, the matter was eventually shelved. Is that pirate ship a member of the beasts? I haven't heard of it, and I haven't heard of this pirate group among the newcomers. The Sea Emperors know each other well. There are some trump cards that outsiders don't know, but they still know which pirate groups are affiliated forces of other Sea Emperors, especially those famous pirates. Not an old man, nor a famous newcomer, which almost eliminates the possibility that the other party is a member of the beasts. Great, what did you say? I said to pull the ship over. That's indeed an acquaintance of mine. Chapter 913. Is Brother Jin here? Please send a doctor over for me. Izo's joy didn't last long, because in addition to his brother, he also saw the Carters of the beasts. Akira, what's going on? Brother, the situation is a bit complicated. If possible, can we find a quiet place to talk? Looking at the pirates around him, Kikunojo didn't seem to want to discuss this topic at this time, but instead signaled Izo to change the place to talk. There is an island nearby, so let's go there. This is the difference between new pirates and veteran pirates in the new world. Ordinary navigation tools are completely ineffective in the Grand Line. If you want to go to the next island, you must rely on the record pointer. Veteran pirates have a large number of permanent pointers in their hands, and they don't need to store magnetic fields to go directly to the destination. The magnetic field of the island Izo mentioned is not strong, so the record pointer of the previous pirate ship pointed to another island. Okay, now we can talk. The people on the ship can't hear our conversation. Izo didn't know why Kaido's Carters would go out alone with his brother, and he couldn't figure out what happened to Kikunojo during this period. He just looked at Drake with a vigilant face. Even though she had a bandage on one eye, she was still an extremely tough opponent in Izo's eyes. Don't be so nervous, brother, I'm not here to fight with you this time. To be precise, we are still allies for the time being. After all, my injury was left by your traitor. Wait, who are you calling brother? Isn't it you? Aren't you Akiu's brother? In that case, it seems that there is nothing wrong with me calling you that. Stop. Due to the presence of Kikunojo, they did not fight, but Drake's words contained a lot of information, and Izo was a little bit overwhelmed for a while. Akiu, what's going on? Brother, it's not what you think. I mainly want to borrow a Den Mushi from you, and Miss Drake's injury was caused by that guy called Blackbird stopping Drake's crazy talk. Kikunojo quickly explained what happened before. Is Teach so strong? Izo's face turned ugly after hearing Kikunojo's description. He didn't like Drake. After all, they were enemies, but he recognized his strength. None of the single-digit numbered beasts were easy to deal with, and the Carters at the front had become famous recently. Blackbird was able to injure Drake, who was the number 4, which was far beyond Izo's expectations of him. He originally thought that Blackbird was able to kill Thatch by sneak attack, but now it seems that this matter is far from that simple. That guy has been on your ship for so many years, don't you even know this little bit? If it was Brother Quinn, I'm afraid he would have even dug out the information of his ancestors. Akira, this opportunity is rare. Why don't you just come with me? Don't go back to Wano country first. Just come back to your father with me. Izo persuaded Kikunojo in person, wanting to take him back to the Whitebird pirates. In Izo's opinion, Wano country is now a den of tigers and wolves. It would be great if he could get out of it, but Kikunojo's idea is different from Izo's. I'm sorry, brother, I can't leave with you now. Why? You don't have to worry about so many things. No, brother, I have my reasons. I can't just leave with you. If it's convenient, please lend us the Den Mushi. Looking at Kikunojo's firm eyes, Aizo finally chose to respect his brother's opinion. He believed in his brother and thought that he would not insist on one thing without reason. After leaving a Den Mushi behind, Aizo took the people of the Whitebeard pirates and left the island. According to the information provided by Kikunojo, they continued to pursue the traces of Blackbeard and Ace. And Eric also dialed the familiar phone. Hello, Brother Jin, are you resting well recently? Among the big carders, she only had Jin's private Den Mushi number. In the case of the damage of the rotten body, she could only contact Jin. Just say it. I have an accident here. Can you send a doctor to me? It would be best if it was a surgeon or ophthalmologist who could do some temporary treatment for me. Wait. Jin's answer was very straightforward. He ended the communication with Drake with 2 words and let Drake feel the speed of the beasts now. About 4 hours after the call was hung up, 2 Dragonites appeared above the island. They came here with 2 doctors and medical equipment from Onigashima according to the instructions of the life card. If it weren't for the problem with the equipment and doctors, the Dragonites could have come faster. After doing some temporary treatment, Dragonites took them back to Onigashima, ending Drake's vacation early. After returning to Onigashima, Kikunojo and Drake also temporarily separated to do their own things. Kikunojo went to report the situation to Hiyori Kazuki, while Drake was taken directly to Jin by Dragonite. Brother Jin, long time no see. Drake still greeted him with a smile, not taking his ugly expression to heart. Waste. Hey, Brother Jin, I'm going to be sad if you say that. Is that how you welcome your dear subordinate? Stop talking nonsense. It must be my biggest mistake to let you, a troublesome guy, become my deputy. You know everything about the Holy Mountain. I've arranged everything for you. Go and get treatment yourself. Well, Brother Jin, how about I go there a few days later? The doctors had said her condition was very serious before, which made Kikunojo very nervous on the way. She planned to take advantage of her injury. There would be no second chance like this. What do you think? Seeing Jin looking like he was about to draw his sword and chop someone, Drake stopped talking nonsense and turned to walk towards the Holy Mountain. At the same time, Jin also left the palace of the flower capital and went directly to Onigashima. Arceus and Shaina were not there. There was only Kaido who was watching a musical on Onigashima. Seeing Jin's arrival, he threw a wine jar over. Brother Kaido. Jin, come and have a drink. The new play these guys are staging is quite interesting. In order to cater to Kaido's preferences, the drama industry in Wano country has also ushered in a new spring. It has been developing vigorously over the years, and has also spawned many new classic dramas. No, Brother Kaido, I have something to go out for. Please arrange the recent mission for someone else. Huh? What happened? It's not a big deal, but my subordinate is out for something, and I have to go and help her settle the account. Chapter 914, only 81 million. Go if you want to. It doesn't matter if you make a bigger noise. After all, you are also my subordinate. But the person who was injured recently, Drake? Jin, you care about that girl. Can the cold-blooded flame disaster also have its own tenderness? Flame disaster, phantom disaster, plague disaster, and Jack, who is not sure what kind of disaster it is, are all notorious. Their names of disasters are destined by blood and cruelty in large-scale wars. In addition, with the flag of 100 beasts on their bodies, they are also monsters that can stop children from crying. No matter how cruel they are, people outside will believe it. But to say that these people are gentle is simply a joke. Brother Kaido, stop joking. That guy is a troublesome one. He just lost face outside, so we have to find him back. Whatever you say. Anyway, there is nothing to do recently. Just hand over to Quinn and go do your thing. Yes. Wait, be careful with that guy named Teach. That guy may not be as simple as he looks. Before Jin left, Kaido suddenly remembered something. When he forced Shanks to drink with him to create a smoker screen, Red Hair did not say a word throughout the whole process. He said a lot of nonsense to Kaido, probably some messed up things like world balance. but he remembered that red hair seemed to have mentioned the strength of Blackbird and thought it was not wise for Ace to hunt down Blackbird. That guy seems to have left scars on that red-haired guy. Maybe he has some special trump card. Of course, I believe you are capable enough to deal with him, but don't be careless. He can endure for so long. He is also a scheming guy. I understand. In a sense, there is nothing wrong with Kaido's arrangement. It's just that as a handover, Quinn has some opinions. It's obviously you, the torturer, who wants to find a place for others, but why am I the one who works overtime in the end? I have lost weight these days. Do you really think I don't know what you looked like before? If you have any opinions, you can go to Brother Kaido. Although Quinn wanted to protest to Kaido in person, his reason told him that it was not a wise behavior. The only result would be that overtime would become extra training. Leaving Quinn to work overtime, Jin embarked on the road to track Blackbird. It was not an easy task for Jin to find Blackbird. Blackbird's whereabouts were also unknown to Jin. Jin could only speculate, based on the location of the previous battle. Although there is a way to make life cards in the new world, except for the current 100 beasts, which collectively made life cards for the people who stayed on Onigashima due to the internal review mechanism. No pirate group will make life cards for all members. Even the Whitebird pirates did not have Blackbird's life card, otherwise it would not be so complicated for them to find Blackbird. Jin is very maneuverable. This time he did not even drive a ship, but embarked on a journey of pursuit by flying alone. It would take some time to find Blackbird. While Jin was still tracking Blackbird, the Straw Hat Pirates had already arrived in Alabasta after a series of adventures. Everyone, we have arrived in Alabasta. I also told you that the boss behind Baroque Works is Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. After the Merry arrived at the port of Alabasta, Wee and Luffy and others emphasized the root cause of the unrest in Alabasta. As legal pirates recognized by the world government, they are very difficult to deal with. But don't worry, someone can help us. The most difficult one to deal with now is Crocodile himself. On the day he became one of the 7 warlords of the sea, his original bounty was cancelled, but the bounty of 81 million baileys for pirates was offered many years ago. 81 million? What? It's only 81 million. Yeah, I was scared to death. I thought it was some kind of scary monster, but it turns out it's not even 100 million. Except for Chopper, who had just boarded the ship and was shocked by the amount. Nami and Usopp were very calm and even looked down on the amount, which made Vivi a little puzzled. But Luffy's bounty is only 30 million. This is more than twice as much. It's okay, Vivi, you don't understand. There's a saying that too much debt is not a burden. Yeah, compared to those monsters, this may be just a small soldier. Rather than saying that Nami and Usopp are not afraid, it's better to say that she has let it go. The original bounty of 81 million and the identity of the 7 warlords of the sea give people a sense of oppression, but it depends on who they are compared with. Luffy has already regarded Kaido, who has a bounty of more than 4 billion, as a target to defeat. Compared with Kaido's monster-like bounty, Crocodile is indeed insignificant. Bounties cannot explain everything, but for most people, bounties are the most intuitive way to judge strength. Those with low bounties are not necessarily weak, but those with high bounties are definitely not weak. Even Quinn is also applicable to this principle. After removing all the blame from him, Quinn's own strength is still a monster. Whether it is Kaido's tempered domineering power or the various weapons and equipment on him, they can cause devastating results. With his ability, it is not difficult for him to destroy a country if there is no strong person to stop him. At the same time, Yamato and his party also successfully arrived at the desert country of Alabasta after the trip. Okay, you go back first. I will call you again when I need you. Yamato did not continue to take Steel Crow with him, but let it return to Steel Crow's nest. The climate of Alabasta is not very suitable for Steel Crow's survival. It's okay at night, but in the hot day, Steel Crow's wings become extremely hot due to the exposure to the sun, and it can be processed on the teppanyaki. It's so hot. I don't like it here. Let's change countries. I think the previous island is good. Their potato carnival seems to have not ended yet. Ulti has a special preference for food like potatoes. Fried potatoes are much more delicious to her than sea beast meat. The previous carnival made her very happy. The food in Alabasta is okay, but the temperature is unacceptable to her. Don't worry, it won't be long. Robin has also made a big discovery. We can leave after solving this problem, but I always feel that returning to Wano country will be unfortunate. The locations given by those Millennium Dragons have not been figured out yet. Let's quickly find her to translate the map and leave here. That's right, let's go. Robin's news said that she is in the capital, and it seems that a war has broken out there. Chapter 915. This saliva has been gushing for several years. Can you resist it? Click. The flint of the lighter gave off sparks, and the lit cigar emitted puffs of smoke. In the cool room, Crocodile opened the curtains and looked outside. The barren desert was full of silence. Such an environment was a natural home for him. Alabasta, the desert country. Even if this town in the desert has experienced thousands of years of history, it still cannot cover up the silence in the desert. This country was shrouded in death when it was born. Crocodile lamented this deadly desert. Even the locals who lived here all year round might get lost in the desert, but they were just saying. Now he is the mastermind behind the Alabasta incident. The death in the desert and the dried up oasis are all related to him. Have you finished getting everything you need? Probably, but the latest news is that the ships of the billionaire elders sent to Nirohara were all destroyed by unknown people. There are as many replacements for that kind of person as you want. It won't affect my plan at all. But Nico Robin, have you been doing more private things recently? The billionaire elder sounded impressive, but he was just the chief of the miscellaneous troops of Baroque works. Street thugs, bounty hunters, ordinary pirates, these people can all be substitutes. With Crocodile's own abilities, there are as many people as he wants in the first half of the Grand Line. He doesn't care at all. Compared to this, he is more concerned about some of Robin's special actions. She is always collecting things that seem meaningless to him. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, it doesn't matter. As long as you can complete what I tell you to do, I don't care what you do, but I have to remind you that I'm completely different from those idiots you knew before. Allah, I get it. I'll take care of what you arranged. Robin admitted that Crocodile was much stronger than the guys in the previous organizations, but that was all. Yamato sent her a message the day before yesterday, saying that they had arrived in Alabasta. It seemed that Crocodile's remaining good days were numbered. Crocodile had his plan, Robin had her plan, Vivi and others also had their own plans, and even Yamato had arranged a special plan for the action. When these plans finally conflicted, everything had to return to the original stage of fists. There is no doubt that Yamato's fist was the biggest one at this time. But at this moment, the group with the biggest fist was traveling in the desert at a leisurely pace. Damn, it's still so hot. Yamato, get some more ice. This igloo is about to melt. Most people rely on camels to travel in the desert of Alabasta, but Yamato is different. At this time, 2 giant lizards are honestly serving as a means of transportation. The desert of Alabasta also breeds a large number of unique species, and the Santa Dora lizard is one of them. This giant lizard usually hunts in pairs. Because of its huge size, fangs and claws, it has always been at the top of the food chain in the desert of Alabasta. It is also one of the most feared creatures by local residents in the desert, but at this moment, they have been forced to become mounts. The 2 big bags on the head explain everything. Yamato persuaded the 2 lizards to send them to the direction of the royal capital in an extremely friendly way. In order to escape the heat, Yamato also used his ability to build 2 igloos on the back of the lizard, which greatly alleviated the heat of the desert. But under the scorching sun, the ice made by Yamato has a limited existence time. It melted into ice water not long after, which made the lizards feel a lot more comfortable. Ulti in the Dragon Man state lies on the back of the lizard. The reason she entered the Dragon Man state was simply to fight the sun. She didn't want to get sunburned or tanned, and she didn't like the desert clothes in Alabasta, so she simply used dinosaur skin to fight the hot sun. Oh, okay, wait for me, wait until I finish editing this dynamic. Remember to block the people who should be blocked, but I don't think it makes any difference. Kaido will definitely not let you go. Don't mention it. I finally forgot about it completely. It's not just Nami and Usopp who are not burdened by debts, but also Yamato. She knows very well that before she can defeat her father head on, some things will eventually be unavoidable. In order not to affect her mood for traveling, she chose to temporarily seal some memories. As for page 1, he is trying to reduce his presence. Before these two lizards came to the door, Ulti had been trying to seduce him to act as a means of transportation. The huge land shark can fly, run, and burrow underground. Except for not being able to swim, it can be called an all-terrain means of transportation. Only page 1 really hoped that the two lizards could hold out a little longer. Otherwise, if no other suitable creatures could be found, it would be his turn. On the other side, compared to the special way of advancing of Yamato, Ulti and others, the Straw Hat Pirates were much more normal, but they also encountered a tough opponent, the Kung Fu Manatee. It looks like a manatee, but has a special structure like a turtle shell. It is an amphibious creature that occupies the desert rivers of Alabasta and the surrounding oceans. If you want to go ashore, try to defeat me. If you don't dare, go back to the other side. It said so. Chopper acted as a deer-shaped translator, conveying the words of the Kung Fu Manatee to Luffy and others. And the first challenger Usopp has already lost to the Kung Fu Manatee. Although Luffy defeated these manatees, he saw a brand new move. Wow, is the saliva of these manatees so strong? The weathered Mary was filled with new injuries. A water arrow with extremely strong penetrating power passed through the hull, leaving a light transmitting hole. Even Luffy's pants were cut open. Master Lizard told them that, as long as they can practice to the point where they can use water to bore holes through rocks, he will come back to teach them more. Now Master Lizard hasn't come back yet. It must be because they haven't practiced hard enough. If we go to the other side, can you help the Master Lizard if they are qualified? That's what they said. Chopper learned a new term from the Kung Fu Manatees, Master Lizard. In order to find a reason to get rid of them, the little lizard used a water gun to deceive these Kung Fu Manatees. Since then, these Kung Fu Manatees have been repeating this action, and after several years of training, they have really practiced their own water guns. They can't store water like the chameleon, but they can hold river water or sea water in their mouths and then spit it out directly like a bullet. Today, 2, Ming, 4. Chapter 916 Kingdom War, the difference in ideas between father and daughter. Why does the word Master Lizard sound so familiar to me? After leaving the area where the Kung Fu Manatees gathered, we felt that the word was more and more familiar to her, but she couldn't remember where she had seen it. What's wrong, Vivi? By the way, the capital is also on the other side of the river. Vivi, have you seen the Lizard Master they are talking about? Those Kung Fu Manatees said that Lizard Master is a weird man dressed like a human cowboy who can cut rocks with water with just a wave of his fingers. Under Chopper's description, Lizard Master's figure gradually overlapped with the little lizard following Robin, and she found that she could not understand this former teacher more and more. But this did not delay their journey. In order to stop Crocodile's actions, they continued to advance in the vast sea of sand day and night. After a while, Yamato and his party had arrived at the royal city of Albana. According to Robin, they only need to wait a few days in the royal city, and she will go there as soon as she finishes some things. As the royal city of Alabasta, even if other areas have suffered droughts due to Crocodile's actions, it still maintains a certain degree of prosperity. But even in the prosperous royal city, it rarely welcomes such generous customers. They book the most luxurious hotel here at a very low price. In fact, even if it is not booked, few people enter here. The rebels in Alabasta are on the move, and the country's economy has been in a slight recession in recent years. There are very few tourists in the capital. The generosity of Yamato, the eldest daughter of a wealthy family, has saved this nearly bankrupt hotel and injected some liquidity into it. Everyone, I heard that there are rebels taking action recently, but the capital is still safe. But just in case, I suggest you don't go out at night. Looking at the three people and some strange animals, the waiter of the tavern left the courtyard of Yamato and others. In Alabasta, the people here have a strong acceptance of all kinds of strange creatures. The fastest creature in the kingdom of Alabasta Sprinter, a large duck like a chocobo, and there is also a special sprinter unit in the country. The sea cat with strong symbolic meaning, the water and land transport turtle with equally fast speed, plus the Kung Fu Manatee, banana crocodile, deception bird and other creatures with different personalities. Although the appearance of Tutu Dog and Happiny is different from others, they look very friendly. It is very common for rich ladies to keep some special pets in their eyes. At this time, Page 1 was studying the updated video games on Rotom's mobile phone in the house, and Yamato was sunbathing the moon with Ulti. It's so cold. This country is really not suitable for me to live in. As night falls, the heat of the day dissipates, replaced by bursts of chill. The air in Alabasta is very dry, with little precipitation and few clouds, which cannot absorb the sun's thermal radiation. During the day, when the light and heat from the sun shines on the desert, the sand particles on the top layer of the desert absorb the heat and release it back into the air, overheating the air and causing the temperature to soar. At night, most of the heat in the sand will quickly dissipate, making the sand and its surrounding environment colder. 30 or 40 degrees during the day and below zero at night are common in Alabasta. The dry environment is also one of the reasons why Crocodile chose this place. His abilities will be greatly weakened on rainy days. Compared to this, the huge temperature difference is nothing. But Ulti doesn't like this kind of climate. This degree of cold and heat can't do anything to her, but compared to the comfortable environment in the past, the climate here is simply terrible. In summer, people will miss winter and would rather freeze to death than be killed by heat. But when winter comes, this feeling will be reversed, and they will again feel that they would rather die of heat than freeze to death. Ulti is in this state at this moment. The only thing she likes about this country is all kinds of fruits. How did Robin stay here for several years? Well, I remember that she didn't stay here all the time. She was exploring in the first half. According to her, it is reasonable to spend other people's money to do her own things. No, I can't remember what the word is. It was clearly on the tip of his tongue, but Yamato couldn't think of how to pronounce the word, and finally let it go. Speaking of which, this country is really depressed. It seems that I have seen a lot of ruins along the way. It doesn't matter. There are so many countries in the world. You have seen worse countries in the new world. Can you manage it? I can't manage it now, but I'm not sure about it in the future. Why didn't I think you wanted to manage so many things before? It's not that I want to intervene, it's just that seeing this makes me uncomfortable. I wish everything would be like Wano country. As for the past, maybe all I was thinking about was fighting with that bastard dad. Be more confident. You think so now too? I'll go see what Ziope is doing. You can do whatever you want, he said, jumping directly into the second floor of the courtyard. Going through the window instead of the door is almost a skill passed down by the new generation of beasts. Except for Jack, who is huge and not flexible enough. Everyone else has a flexible way to climb through the window, and all this is thanks to Kaido. After Ulti jumped back into the room from the window, a noise came from it, and Yamato also looked at Tutu, who was painting on the wall, and helped Happin and the Happin of Onigashima to start a video, and then continued to study the stars in the sky. After dawn the next day, Yamato wanted to appreciate the scenery of the royal capital, but was interrupted by a burst of explosions. The hotel waiter's words were not right. Under the instigation of Crocodile, a large number of rebels had surrounded the royal capital. Originally, they were in a state of confrontation, but the people of Baroque Works had already mixed into the royal army. When his hand slipped deliberately, the city defense artillery roared, and also set off the prelude to the war. The relationship between the two sides had long been like a powder keg, and this shot directly caused the battlefield to explode. Countless camel cavalrymen raised countless dust and began to attack the capital under the artillery fire of the kingdom army. This is war. Did your father grow up in this environment? Whether it is a battle between pirates or a fight between pirates and the navy, it is not a formal war in terms of scale, but this time is different. As a big country, Alabasta has great advantages in terms of land and population. The number of people affected by this war is far beyond Yamato's previous cognition. I really don't like this environment. Looking at the war that Kaido loves most, Yamato doesn't understand why Kaido is so obsessed with war. It was at this time that Robin sent her a new communication. Fairy, put down the knife. First, in the 5367th year of Shineon, there was a demon who bullied men and women, bullied people by taking advantage of his power, and did all kinds of evil. He was angry with both humans and gods and wanted to turn the world into a purgatory. Good news, as the plot develops, several years later, the Child of Destiny will lead his confidant to kill the demon. Bad news, now, I have become that demon. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 917. This is the mercenary service of Beishao. Please choose the appropriate price. In the Palace of Alabaster, Vivi wanted to send a signal to the outside world by blowing up the palace so as to tell everyone the truth. However, when the fuse of the explosives was about to burn out, Crocodile appeared in the palace. At this time, he had already regarded Alabaster as his own territory, and of course he would not sit idly by and watch Wu blow it up. As the king, Cobra had fallen into Crocodile's hands. Although there were many guards in the kingdom, these people were not taken seriously by Crocodile. Seeing that he was about to succeed, his ambition had swelled. If the kingdom is destroyed, it is normal for the royal family to die. You two, father and daughter, should have been prepared to die here. The smoke of the cigar and the yellow sand rose around Crocodile, and with a faint smile, Crocodile came to Cobra. I have no intention of letting you go, but you should understand that there are many ways to die. If you don't want to die in extreme pain and let your daughter experience the same pain, you'd better answer me a question honestly. Cobra, Pluto, where is it? The threat of death did not change Cobra's face, but Pluto's name made Cobra's face change drastically. Why do you know this name? It seems that you know the existence of this thing, Pluto. The legend says that an island can be wiped out with just one shot. It is the most evil ancient weapon with the name of God. According to the information I have found, it should be somewhere in this country. This is my original purpose. As long as I have it, I can build the strongest military country here, recruit people, strengthen my power, and one day I can become a force above the world government. As an ambitious man, Crocodile is very ambitious. Compared with the so-called Pirate King, his goal is closer to the king of the world. The world government will never sit back and watch a pirate like you do something like that. That's why I need Pluto. Without absolute force, how can I directly go against the world government? He treated everyone present as dead, so he exposed his ambition. He had planned this for a long time. If no one knew about it, he would lose a lot of fun. However, he did not see the expression he wanted on Cobra. I don't know where that thing is, and it may not be in this country. Is that so? This answer is not surprising. In other words, I also know that Pluto may be just a legend. But according to my plan, in 20 minutes, the rebels will arrive at the square and start fighting, and in 30 minutes, my people will fire a special shell at the palace. The 5-kilometer explosion range will raise everything here to the ground. Mr. Cobra, let me change the question. Since you don't know where Pluto is, then tell me, where is the historical text? From the beginning, Crocodile never thought that he could get the location of Pluto from Cobra. He found someone who had a certain understanding of the historical text, and his goal was to decipher it himself. The previous threats and bomb intimidation, the ultimate goal is to get the historical text, but when Cobra just gave a response, Robin on the side couldn't help laughing. What's wrong, Miss Alcinde? Is what I said funny? No, it's not funny. At least it's not funny to me. But my friend said you're full of useless nonsense. Even she thinks you're useless. This is really funny. Crocodile's face turned ugly. He couldn't understand why Nico Robin wanted to tear his face off with him at this time. Not only Crocodile couldn't understand, Vivi couldn't understand either. She thought Robin was waiting for an opportunity, but she didn't expect to make such a statement at this time. What? Seeing that I was going to kill this princess, you, as her former teacher, couldn't help it? Do you really think I don't know about the contact between you? Originally, based on your ability, I was going to use you again. It seems that you don't plan to cherish this opportunity. Crocodile took out a stack of papers from his arms, which were some notes of Robin, but in Crocodile's eyes, it was actually a dictionary for translating historical texts. He wanted to use this method to show that he had already seen through everything and had been in control of the situation. However, Nico Robin's attitude still exceeded Crocodile's expectations. She was not panicked or shocked, but talked about business with Cobra. Your Majesty Cobra, I'm actually very interested in the historical text. Of course, I also have a business to discuss with you. According to our rules, the price of intervening in a battle is usually estimated according to the strength of the enemy. Crocodile's original bounty was 81 million berries, and the status of Shichibuke was 300 million premiums, while the initial price of a battle between countries was 500 million berries, which will be slightly adjusted according to the scale. With the scale of the Alabaster rebels, 1 billion can be dealt with cleanly, whether it is to annihilate or capture alive. It can be done according to your requirements. So as long as you are willing to pay 1.381 billion berries, plus the information of the historical text, this matter can be perfectly settled. What do you think? This is a friendly price given for Princess Vivi's face. There was a dead silence. Whether it was Cobra or Vivi, Crocodile or the guards of the kingdom, they all fell silent because of Robin's question. Sister Robin, stop joking. If you really have any plans, just deal with them quickly. I promise you this price on behalf of my father. Vivi reacted first. Since she learned some knowledge from Robin, Robin gave her a feeling of omnipotence. At this time, she was more willing to believe that Robin really had plans. Ha ha ha. Nico Robin, I thought you were a smart person, but now it seems that you are also a fool. Do you think there are people in Alabaster who can deal with me? Or do you think that Straw Hat Boy and his beetle can defeat me? Of course not. Natural ability users are very strong in the Grand Line, but Mr. Zero, is there a possibility that some people are not from Alabaster? Sizzle, a strange sound came into everyone's ears. In Alabaster during the day, a strange phenomenon was happening. A thin layer of ice spread from a distance to the palace, and in a few breaths, the palace in the desert was completely frozen, and a figure gradually approached from a distance. The chill brought by the ice can also make people feel chilly in the hot summer, but the fear only lasts for a short time. Robin, here I come. Does this appearance meet your requirements? Isn't it cool? Chapter 918, Baptism of Overlord Color. What Robin told Cobra before was nothing else but the offer of mercenaries from the beasts. As the most powerful armed group in the New World, in addition to the huge income brought by the beasts' fruit, war is also the main business of the beasts. In this chaotic era, high quality arms have always been a bestseller, and mercenary services are one of them. Before Quinn's persecution delusion broke out, he also went out to perform similar tasks, and the Kingdom War in the East China Sea was one of them. In addition to Kaido, the Carters of the Beasts have performed similar tasks many times, especially Jack recently. In order to hone himself in battle, he walks on the road of looking for trouble and fighting every day. As long as the enemy is strong enough, he will participate in it as a way of training. If the enemy is not strong enough, he will throw the task to his younger brother. Today, Jack's ship has become the team with the highest loss rate among the many beasts teams, but also the highest actual combat experience. Yamato complained a lot in the chat a few days ago that he didn't like the way Alabaster was going to fight, so she just found a reason for Yamato to intervene in the war and make some extra money. As an external brain, it is sometimes very tiring. A handsome appearance. This is the only condition Robin gave to Yamato, which will make the buyer feel that the price is worth it and pay more willingly. Not bad, but remember to ask me this question after the fight next time. Creating an ice field in the Desert Kingdom is already full of style, but the last sentence makes all the foreshadowings that were buried before go to waste. Why didn't you say it earlier? You didn't say it before, so I can do whatever I want next time. Wait a minute, let's see if His Majesty the King or His Royal Highness the Princess has any other requests. Vivi, or His Majesty Cobra, do you have any other requests? Let me introduce you. This is our eldest lady Yamato, who is worth more than 2 billion baileys. This move is a great benefit. If Robin must comment, it is a habit. If Yamato makes a perfect move, the target must be Kaido. Now it doesn't affect anything. The people are all innocent. It was Crocodile's instigation that led to this result. Can you help minimize casualties? Is that so? This is not difficult. It's just that there are a lot of people. You can handle it yourself after it's over. Boom. As soon as Yamato finished her words, before the people nearby could figure out what she meant, a strong wind spread out from her, and the majestic momentum crushed the whole place. Plop, plop. We felt a huge rock pressing on her chest. The huge pressure made her feel suffocated. The original Yamato was just a tall girl, but now she looked more like a beast in human skin. Clang. The weapons in the hands of several guards slipped to the ground, and their legs could no longer support their bodies. Finally, they collapsed on the ground. This was because the distance was close enough, so Yamato controlled the power. Whoosh, the strong wind rolled up the yellow sand and blew it on people's faces with a whistling sound. When the smoke and dust cleared, the people outside the royal capital highlands had already fallen to the ground like wheat being cut. The kingdom army, the rebel army, the civilians, the pirates of Baroque works, and the navy following Smoker, no matter who they were, they all lost consciousness and fell to the ground. What's going on? Is it the secret weapon of the kingdom army? It knocked down tens of thousands of people with just one blow. No, those guys in the kingdom army also fainted. What on earth is this? There are always exceptions in the crowd. Some people were holding their arms on the ground, using their last strength to maintain their body consciousness, but they eventually fell to the ground, and then their eyes went black, and they completely lost consciousness. Occasionally, a few people with strong wills sat there blankly under the baptism of this momentum, not knowing what to do next. This is Yamato's domineering color domineering, the best choice for clearing out the miscellaneous soldiers. In her opinion, as long as everyone fainted, there would naturally be no casualties, so she exploded her domineering color domineering to the greatest extent. It was difficult to distinguish too many people, and only deterring one side would easily cause a one-sided massacre, so except for the area near her, she adopted an indiscriminate attack on the distant area. In order to make these people faint for a longer time, she released her own domineering aura to the greatest extent. After years of tempering, her domineering color gradually changed. The powerful deterrent force made the soldiers in the battle lose their combat effectiveness instantly and perfectly achieved the goal. Plop, plop. In addition to the people who fell at the beginning, people with slightly weaker strength will also be affected. In the city of Albana, Mr. Wondasbonus was originally fighting with Zoro, but with the passing of Yamato's conqueror's haki, the two could not help but kneel on one knee on the ground, looking towards the direction of the palace with shocked faces. Usopp outside the city even fainted with foam at the mouth. They didn't understand what kind of power this was. Only a very few well-informed people knew what this was. For example, Crocodile, Conqueror's haki. Haki, the new world, is a special place. Even if Conqueror's haki is born only once in a million people, it is not uncommon in the new world. According to the new world, people with Conqueror's haki are like Crucian carp crossing the river. Crocodile was once a well-informed person, but he had not experienced the impact of Conqueror's haki for more than 10 years. People like you are not right. Nicole Robin is hidden deep enough. Crocodile originally wanted to ask, why would it appear here, but thinking about Robin just now, it is no longer a problem. One of the bids, for him, the position of One Piece was a good petal, before he became the king of the world. I just came here, and many years ago I wanted to beat you a meal. My friend was not threatened by your guy. Before he could say anything, a conscious soldier staggered in. Not good, your majesty. The latest news from the front. 200,000 rebels and our defenders are all unconscious due to an unknown force. 3 more updates, 4 more tomorrow. A bit tired. Chapter 919. What kind of king did you just say you wanted to be? When the Conqueror's haki is released, it will release a strong pressure around the releaser. If it is too weak, it will be stunned and lose consciousness. It has always been an excellent skill for clearing soldiers. Especially after the version update, the appearance of Conqueror's haki has almost become the top match for the strong. When the Conqueror's haki is first awakened, the Conqueror's haki will cause indiscriminate attacks on all creatures around it, but as the Conqueror's haki is used more skillfully, it can be released against someone, or a few people in the crowd. Yamato's Conqueror's haki has long been very proficient, but facing tens of thousands of royal troops and rebels, she really doesn't know how to specifically distinguish between enemies and friends. Therefore, a certain range around her is regarded as a no-injury circle, which only deters people outside the circle. The royal army observing the peripheral battle situation on the high ground was less affected, so they could come to report the situation. Hundreds of thousands of people fainted, which was a weird situation that they never expected. Of course, the situation here is more shocking to the guards than outside. Even if Crocodile has planned for several years, Cobra still has a certain popular support, and the guards of the royal city still believe in their king. The chaotic situation here made him not know what to do. He stood in the square in a daze for a while. However, his mission had been completed. The battle situation he brought was enough to let the people here understand what happened in the outside world. How is it, His Majesty Cobra, Princess Wiwi, is this result okay? They will be unconscious for a long time at least. This period of time should be enough for you to arrange the follow-up matters. Is this 1.381 billion worth spending? Worth it? War is a waste of money and labor, not to mention this kind of civil unrest in the kingdom. In addition to the casualties on both sides, the economic development of the kingdom will also have big problems after this. It can be said that they have saved a lot of money to deal with it so easily with more than $1 billion. What's more, this seems to be the fastest way to stop the war. Both the rebels and the kingdom army have undercover agents from Baroque works. It is quite difficult to stop them. Now that both sides have fainted, there is no need to fight. Of course, for Cobra, the most important thing is to save the people from death and injury. Our rules are to get paid for work. If you don't mind, can you take me to see the historical text? Yamato, please take care of this. It depends on your mood. Yamato is not interested in complicated history. Correspondingly, Robin is not very interested in fighting. Leaving Yamato to deal with Crocodile, she and Cobra study the historical text in the most time-saving way. Yamato gestured to Robin to indicate that it was okay. It seemed that he was going to listen to the previous advice and ask other questions after the matter was over. Well, I don't have any objection, but this situation is not appropriate now, isn't it? Cobra did not intend to break the contract. His original plan was to take Crocodile to death with him and use the mechanism in the underground temple to bury him forever in the underground of Alabasta. If he gets Alabasta, then the citizens here will never have peace. This is the last thing he can do as a king. As a royal family that has been passed down for thousands of years, it would be strange if there were no mechanisms in the place where secrets are kept. But now the situation has changed. This group of people has no interest in Alabasta, and the force they have displayed is far greater than Crocodile. More importantly, Cobra didn't want to attract Kaido, the monster. The secret of the historical text has been exposed. If it really comes to that, the historical text can't be preserved, and Alabasta will have to experience another destruction. It's better to take this opportunity to solve this problem quickly. At the next World Conference, he can also discuss some issues about the 7 warlords persecuting the kings of the allied countries, the navy doing nothing, and he had to spend a lot of money to hire pirate mercenaries to deal with this. Therefore, he agreed neatly. Crocodile was very unhappy about Robin ignoring him and treating him as a commodity. When he saw her trying to release Cobra, the yellow sand also flew. I said, don't treat me as if I don't exist. Desert Sword. Crocodile's right arm turned into yellow sand and raised up. Countless gravel gathered together and flowed at high speed, making his Desert Sword have extremely strong cutting ability. The ground of the palace was split in half by the sand blade under this blow, and the sand blade also attacked Robin's direction with undiminished power. Thunder Bagua. Boom. Robin and Cobra were unharmed, but Crocodile was hit by Yamato and flew out, turning into a pile of loose sand on the wall. So weak, I say. Are you really a Shichibuke? Jinbei and Hancock are much stronger than you. Both Jinbei and Hancock have a certain relationship with the beasts, which leads to the fact that they can't escape the fate of fighting. In the battle with them, Yamato has a rough understanding of the strength of the Shichibuke. Then in the battle with Hawkeye, she was sure that there was nothing wrong with her cognition, but Crocodile's performance made her doubt whether there was something wrong with the composition of the Shichibuke. Ahem. You bastard Crocodile, who was beaten into a pile of loose sand, recondensed, but the blood had dyed most of his face red, looking very hideous. How is it possible? Just one hit. Wee opened her mouth wide, a little unbelievable about what happened in front of her. In order to deal with Crocodile, she spent a lot of time, but still had no way. Crocodile had shown his arrogance to the extreme before, but now, with just one blow, he was beaten into this state. In fact, Vivi didn't know that this was just a tentative attack. Yamato in human form didn't use much strength at all. Ah. Why are you still here? Hurry up and leave here with Robin. Be careful not to get hurt by mistake. Hey, even if you are a pirate from the new world, you should show some respect to me. When I was sailing, you were still a little kid. Heavy sandstorm. Yellow sand was flying all over the sky, and the huge yellow sand tornado gradually enveloped the entire palace. Even the yellow sand outside was attracted by this place, and gathered towards the palace. I will find Pluto, and then become the king of the world. It's just a woman. Why can a woman stop me? Boom. Before Crocodile finished speaking, Yamato broke through the sandstorm he created, and hit him head on again. Looking at Crocodile with white eyes, Yamato patted his ears and shook out the sand. The wind is a bit strong. What king did you say you wanted to be? Chapter 920 Crocodile, you are the worst class I've taught. When you shout in front of Kaido that you want to be the king, there is a certain chance that his passive will be triggered. Most people will be knocked down by a stick and then be questioned by the other party. What king do you want to be? If you can continue to answer, it means that Kaido's teaching activities have been successful. If you can't answer, it means failure. As Kaido's daughter, Yamato inherited this talent to some extent and let Crocodile trigger this passive. Ken 7th, who was entangled with domineering, made Crocodile experience what pain is again. Haki can touch the entity of the natural system, but it will not seal the opponent's ability. After the attack, the body of the natural system ability user can still transform into an elemental form. Because of the natural system ability, Crocodile was like a slime in Yamato's hands. The impact of the two blows made his internal organs roll. Hey, get up quickly. I held back. If you lose consciousness like this, I really have to reevaluate the strength of the 7 warlords of the sea. Rotom, help me record it and take a nice picture. There is more than one reason for beating Crocodile. A few years ago, it was one of the reasons, and returning to Onigashima was also Yamato's purpose. The 4 emperors, the navy, and the 7 warlords of the sea are known as the 3 major forces of the Grand Line. She had conflicts with the navy before, but these navy soldiers were just miscellaneous soldiers from the East China Sea, and had no reference value. But the 7 warlords of the sea are different. Beating up one of the 7 warlords of the sea at least shows that she is not completely slacking off, and she can also perfunctorily deal with Kaido when she returns. But there is a premise for all this. Crocodile cannot be too weak, otherwise he will be like the navy of the East China Sea, and have no value. You will regret it. Swoosh. The golden hook in his left hand got stuck on Yamato's ankle. Looking at this childish trick, Yamato lost interest in Crocodile. TSK, I thought you were a powerful guy, but you used such a lowly method. I didn't beat you, stupid, did I? She didn't discriminate against Crocodile using this hook as a weapon. According to Kaido's teaching, whether it was teeth or nails, biting or scratching, it was all part of the battle. But the premise was that the attack had to be effective. She thought that she had shown her strength with the 2 sticks just now, but Crocodile still used this ineffective method to attack her. It looked like there was poison on it. As a Shichibuke, he used such a despicable and ineffective method to attack her. This made her suspect that this person had long forgotten what strength was. In fact, with Yamato's strength, even if she didn't defend herself and let Crocodile's toxins enter her body, those toxins might not be a match for her immune system. I heard that you also ventured into the new world before, but you don't even know Haki? If so, that old man won't approve of it. Yamato kicked Crocodile out with a kick and put Ken 7 back into his bag. That princess and that king, how do you want to deal with him? Even though the facts were in front of them, Vivi and Cobra found it hard to believe that Crocodile, who had been a scourge to Alabasta for several years, was knocked down by someone and played with like a toy. As Yamato's words reached his ears, Crocodile's mind began to flash through various scenes like a revolving lantern. The battle with Barrett, when he was young, the high spirits as a spectator, when Roger was executed, the ambition at the beginning of the Great Pirate era, and the horror he experienced when challenging Whitebird, and Ivankov's disgusting face. What I can't get, you can't get. Putting his right hand on the ground, Crocodile used a new move in anger, as if he was in his last moments. Erosion reincarnation. As a user of the natural sand fruit, Crocodile can turn any part of his body into sand, and his other ability is to absorb moisture. His right hand can absorb moisture from everything it touches. Wood will wither, rocks will weather into sand, and people will become dried up. As an early Shichibukai character, Crocodile can be said to be well known for his 50-50 ability. He can fight with Barrett, clash with Whitebird, and be beaten by Luffy. But among the Shichibukai, he is definitely the most ambitious one. Yamato's tone of examining goods, the ridicule of his strength, and the contempt of his own attitude are all ruthlessly whipping him. He can't accept that his plan of several years has failed because of a woman who appeared here for no reason. Haki is a familiar and distant thing for him. He is obviously not a good student. He didn't find what he lost in the battle like his predecessor, Golden Lion. Even the legendary awakening stick failed to wake him up directly, but he still made a plan to fight to the death. His current goal is the entire palace. Guhahaha. Die. The grass around his palm withered quickly, the land cracked at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the walls of the palace also showed signs of collapse. Due to the geographical environment, the Palace of Alabaster was built on a high ground. Crocodile wanted to collapse this place directly and then bury everything completely. According to Cobra, the historical text should be in the palace. As long as everything is turned into yellow sand, he can slowly look for it. It's useless. Even if your conqueror's Haki can stun most people, it is impossible to stop the bomb. Everything will be destroyed. Above the yellow sand, only I'm the master. Crocodile was about to increase his power to completely corrode and corrupt this place, but he suddenly found that his erosion cycle was invalid. The ground became extremely cold. The sharp ice layer had frozen his palm and began to spread upwards. Although he successfully broke free, a large piece of flesh and blood on his palm remained on the ground. He can absorb moisture from objects, but Yamato blocked his ability with his own ice. The transformed Kyurem and the power of the Great Mouth True God created a protective film on the ground. Before Crocodile absorbed the moisture, he froze the blood in his palm with extreme cold. If he did not break free before he absorbed the moisture, he would turn into an ice sculpture first. You seem to have misunderstood something. I'm asking my employer how to deal with you, not that I can't deal with you, Thunderbagua. This time, Yamato didn't hold back and cleanly made Crocodile lose consciousness and then picked up his rotom. Moshimoshi, Urchan, Ziope, stop playing for now. Work hard and knock down all the people standing nearby, and then look for cannons or bombs or something like that. Chapter 921 A new voyage has begun. Knock down all those standing? That's right, you don't have to worry about the palace. Just check and fill in the gaps around to prevent any fish that slip through the net from causing trouble. As the head of Baroque Works is so weak, Yamato has completely lost interest in the small fish outside. Even if they can maintain their will under the impact of her domineering color, those people are not strong, and they may not even be able to beat her Happiny. But she thinks it is not appropriate to let Happiny do something like fighting, so let the siblings move around. After the phone was hung up, the siblings who were watching the show looked at each other. They had not received any instructions before, so the two of them rested in the hotel. Although they were not serious at ordinary times, they would still obey the orders from above before taking action. Yamato has absolute jurisdiction over the two of them in terms of strength and status. As long as they listen to Yamato, it doesn't matter if they get into trouble, because she is there to support them. Ziope, stop, I'm outside you, Sister Yamato said. Knock down all the standing ones as soon as possible. Huh? When did she say as soon as possible? I think that's what she meant. Anyway, it's time to act, sister. By the way, Sister Yamato said knock them down, not kill them all. Sister, take it easy. Before leaving, Page 1 also specifically told Ulti to avoid her doing something irrational when she got too excited. But he said that just because he was used to it. The people here basically couldn't even hurt Ulti, let alone make her get too excited. Then page 1 didn't fly into the air, but went directly into the ground. There are two ways for Garchomp to live. One is to fly in the sky at a speed not inferior to that of a jet fighter, and search for its own prey in the process. Due to their super high flying speed, the prey that is targeted has nowhere to escape. But Garchomp is a Pokémon that lives on the ground after all. Most of the Garchomps in the wild also have the habit of digging holes. In addition to hunting in the sky like falcons, they will also attack from below like sharks. It's just that it's not underwater, but underground. The scales on the surface of the body allow Garchomp to sense the noise on the ground. Those who can still stand can't stay still. As long as they move, page 1 can use Garchomp's ability and observation haki to finally lock the enemy's position. It's just that digging a hole can be overdone if you're not careful. Why are you here, Ziope? I dug too much. In the underground temple of Alabasta, Cobra originally brought Robin to get the rubbings of the historical text as agreed, but the stone above suddenly loosened, and then page 1 drilled directly out of it. In the underground cave, vision is useless. Everything can only rely on perception, and page 1 noticed the movement here, so he accidentally dug over. Ahem, this is an accident. The soil here is a bit desertified. I'm not used to it. Sister Yamato has a mission. I'm leaving first. Page 1 retreated back the same way and blocked the road he dug with stones. Your Majesty Cobra, you can see that our business capabilities are still very strong. If you need it, you can call this number in the future. After page 1's episode, Robin handed Cobra a business card. After working for Tesoro for a while, she also had some occupational diseases, such as selling some essential businesses for all beasts. I still hope that I will never need these again in the future, but the bomb that Crocodile mentioned. Don't worry about that. The news just came that my partner has found that thing, and it is estimated that it has been dismantled now. Really excellent efficiency at the same time, in a tower in the royal capital. After the little lizard dealt with the agents of the Baroque works who stayed here, he used the special structure on his tail and fingers to complete his bomb disposal work. As an agent Pokémon, bomb disposal is a piece of cake. Its special eyes allow it to easily see through the structure of the bomb and then dismantle it. If there was any accident in this operation, it was that Luffy encountered some accidents. He originally wanted to rush to the palace to deal with Crocodile as soon as possible, but when he was still on the way, Crocodile was knocked down by Yamato, and then he met Ulti who was cleaning up the fish that slipped through the net. In a stubborn way of communication, he was knocked down by Ulti with the L-head gun, and finally dragged aside by Hello. After getting the required reward, Yamato and others left Alabasta, and Robin was taken away with them. The ruins nearby have been explored cleanly by Robin over the years, and now the historical text has been obtained, so there is naturally no need to stay. Although it did not play a decisive role, the Straw Hat Pirates also helped Alabasta a lot, and were warmly received by Cobra. Crocodile was handed over to the navy that arrived later by Alabasta, but Crocodile remained silent and ignored all the questions from the navy. The navy finally got the information that only Yamato and others were hired to defeat Crocodile and his party. In order to cover up their mistakes, this achievement was still thrown to Smoker, but Yamato and his party also attracted the attention of the nearby navy, which led to the smooth sailing of the Straw Hat again, and added a transvestite MR2, Von Clay on the ship. After Crocodile fell, he successfully escaped by relying on the ability of the imitation fruit, and joined Luffy's team with his recognition of friendship. The royal mission prevented Vivi from joining. At this time, she and Cobra were observing the new wonders in the kingdom, a piece of ice, which Yamato made in the battle with Crocodile. Previously, when she was traveling, she made ordinary ice for Ulti, which would melt quickly in the sun, and was no different from ice in nature. But this is different. In order to isolate Crocodile from the reincarnation erosion, Yamato used the power from Kyurem. This power permanently changed the landform, and added an unmelting ice spring to the hot Alabasta. But Yamato didn't know about this. She had asked Robin to replan the route according to the description of the Millennium Dragon, and sailed towards the next destination. Jin is still on the way to find Blackbird. Arceus and Shaina have already embarked on the journey home, and Quinn came to the place where he worked overtime, an island where Pokémon gathered. The time of birth here is almost the same as that of the Fat Express, and its purpose of existence is to test the members of the pirate group. Its name is Charizard Island. Ahem. Tomorrow is the 4th day, and I will delay it for another day. Chapter 922. Overtime trip on Charizard Island. Hurry up. What are you dawdling for? If you want to join our team, show me your ability. On the temporary platform, Quinn ordered the pirates below impatiently. Since the fight with Kaido, although his paranoia has not been cured, it has at least eased. He still dares to go out when ordered. At this time, his job is to select new members to join the team. The pirate fleet of the Sea Emperor is usually large in number, but the main team and the affiliated forces are two different concepts. Take Whitebird as an example. The main team of the Whitebird pirates is divided into 16 teams with a total of 1,600 people, but the total number of the entire Whitebird pirates is as high as 50,000. War is not just about burning money. In this world, where personal force can change the direction of a war, in addition to the number of soldiers, quality has become extremely important. It can be said that there is a world of difference between the peripheral members of the beasts and the members of the main team. Only after the peripheral people pass the initial examination are they eligible to join the team. In the past, the examination of strength was usually done by members of the team, but as the expansion of the beasts increased, the examination methods also changed. This island is a special island created by Lord Arceus with his own ability. The fact that you can come here means that you have passed the initial assessment, but if you want to join the team, there is one last test, which is to persist on this island for 3 days. I don't care how you persist, as long as you can get the symbol of the 1000 universe wrist from the examiner and stand to the other end of the island after 3 days. You have passed this test. Quinn used his loudspeaker to explain the rules of joining to the people below. Looking at the newcomers who were full of confidence, he immediately poured a basin of cold water on them. Don't be so naive. There are only half of the places for this time. No matter how many are left, only half of you can be selected. Moreover, the examiners on this island are very special. You'd better hope that you can stick to it smoothly. A reminder from Master Quinn. This assessment depends on your strength, but strength is not the only thing. If you are lucky, you can also find a shortcut. Master Quinn, can you explain it more clearly? What exactly is a shortcut? Huh. It's boring to say it out loud. Now, all of you get in and take the assessment. Originally, he was introducing the rules, but Quinn suddenly threw away the trumpet in his hand and then picked up a revolver machine gun, leaving a row of bullet holes at the feet of the pirates below. The dense gunfire startled the birds in the forest and at the same time notified the examiners that the people participating in the trial had arrived. The moment they entered the forest, these people started fighting with each other. In their opinion, it was not difficult to pass an island. The only thing that limited them was the number, so they wanted to take advantage of their sufficient physical strength to deal with their competitors. Some people made different choices, moving towards the finish line in advance, and were looking for who the examiner was that Quinn mentioned. After the last person disappeared from his sight, Quinn also put away the smile on his face, and there were several more people's information in his hand. These Navy really want to make trouble all the time. Do you really think I don't know anything? Want to persecute me? Next life. Never doubt that a persecuted delusion can do something outrageous for his own safety. In addition to his own intelligence network, Quinn also has all kinds of gossip. There was nothing wrong with the identity of this group of Navy, but Doflamingo found some information about the Navy from Virgo in order to please the contact person of the beast, which eventually led to the exposure of this group of personnel. In fact, Quinn deliberately let them go to this island. As a pirate group, their assessment is not a child's play. Quinn has a large number of death indicators, and it is not difficult for him to make these people disappear reasonably. Let me see where these guys ran off to. Before entering the island, Quinn distributed the so-called distress signal guns to them, which could be used to give up the assessment. However, he installed locators on some of the signal guns and distributed them to the undercover agents. At this time, he had already started his own clearing operation. However, when he looked at the locator, he found that some of the signals had disappeared on it. Quinn also had a high degree of confidence in his own technology. In his opinion, the Navy could not find the flaws. The only possibility for the signal to disappear was that it was destroyed by external forces. The only ones who would do such a thing were the Pokémon on the island. As expected of the creatures created by Lord Arceus, this action is really fast. Those locators also have a special smell. Humans cannot smell it, but Pokémon can sense this special signal that marks the target of attack. Roar. A dragon-shaped Pokémon spewed flames from its mouth and destroyed the enemy in front of it, then crushed the signal gun that fell on the ground with one foot, and then spread its wings and flew back to the nest in the center of the island. It looks like a dragon and has dragon in its name, but it just doesn't have dragon attributes. It is one of the powerful Pokémon of a certain flying type king, and the final evolution of the first generation of the 3 fire attributed Pokémon, Charizard. At this time in the sky, you can even see several Charizards flying around. The orange dragon skin looks like a combination of a western dragon and a dinosaur. The sharp claws have a lot of deterrence, and the end of the long and thick tail is burning with flames. They were born at a time not much different from Dragonite, but there are more of them, and the frequency of battles is also higher. Compared with Dragonite, Charizard's personality is more irritable, and it will constantly look for powerful opponents in life. This is how they become stronger. It is said that the more hard battles Charizard has experienced, the more combat experience it has accumulated, the hotter the flame will be, and the higher the temperature of the flame will be. After eliminating the people with the special invader mark, the flame on the Charizard's tail also calmed down again. If you want to observe the status of a Charizard, the tail is an excellent option. During the battle, the flames on their tails will burn more fiercely. If the Charizard is really angry, the front of its tail will burn with a blue-white flame. The burning condition of the flames at ordinary times indicates the health of a Charizard. If the flames on the tail are extinguished, it means that the life of this Charizard has come to an end. At this time, Quinn had already flapped his wings and flew over. Looking at the situation below, he couldn't help laughing. Mahaha, this island feels good. No wonder that guy Jin often practices here. But his smile didn't last long. A large Charizard was flying towards him. According to the notes that Jin threw to Quinn before leaving, the Charizard seemed to regard him as a challenge. Chapter 923, Jin's Note, Sword of Action. The one who spent the most time with these fire-breathing dragons was Jin, and Jin had a better understanding of their living habits. He left notes for Quinn when he handed over his shift to him, not because he was worried about what the fire-breathing dragon would do to Quinn. In Jin's opinion, Quinn is now a lot of tanks. After long-term training, his health bar is comparable to that of the Lunarians, and at most he will be burned into a black man. In that case, Jin would not only not worry, but also mock him in person. Jin just didn't want Quinn to be stupid and cause some problems for the fire-breathing dragon. When the tail flame of the fire-breathing dragon burns violently and swings up and down at a certain frequency, it means that they are eager to fight and think that the person in front of them is a powerful opponent and want to fight with him. Oh, it turns out that this guy also thinks that this uncle is very strong. These years of experience are really not in vain. A revolving lantern flashed through Quinn's mind. Since leaving Mads, his life experience seems to be not easy. The pot on his body is getting thicker and thicker, and his domineering is getting stronger. Under the indoctrination of library knowledge, even the brain capacity has been passively enhanced. There is a fire-breathing dragon with wider wings and a special pattern on its tail. It is the leader of the fire-breathing dragons. It is quite powerful and likes fighting like Kaido. Fight. After looking at the fire-breathing dragon in front of him, Quinn seemed to see the burning fighting spirit. The flame brewing in his mouth further explained what the fire-breathing dragon wanted to do. Why? I have to fight, even though I'm working overtime. That torturer didn't say so earlier. Mandafesh, who works overtime every day as a social animal, has a lot of free time. As the big boss of the beasts, Quinn's goal is to enjoy life. He is not bad in terms of food and treatment, and it is still improving. Relying on Chima's special power, his plantation has long been rejuvenated and even has better quality land. However, his workload has been rising along with his treatment, and he has to deal with possible accidents, such as Kaido and people or things related to Kaido. With a personality similar to Kaido, this sentence means that fighting is difficult to avoid, so when the pirates below are still trying to pass the level, Quinn also had a brief fight with the fire-breathing dragon in front of him. After the fire-breathing dragon found that Quinn in front of him was like an iron-shelled turtle and did not want to fight head-on, but used various methods to evade attacks, he lost interest. After burning for a long time, it was either a substitute, or guarding the barrier, or a dummy made of vines. It was obviously a meat shield, but the body was as slippery as a loach. This fighting style successfully persuaded Charizard to retreat and return to the valley in the center of the island to take his nap. Because the outer periphery of this island is all tropical rainforest, the dense woods hinder the vision of the people in the forest, and they don't know what happened in the sky. Even if they knew, it had nothing to do with them. At this time, they were fighting for their own future. After defeating their competitors, several pirates came to the jungle together and saw the examiner with a token in Quinn's mouth. A dinosaur-like creature was drinking water by the pool. Although its body was wet, the flame on its tail was still burning fiercely. This was the cub of the island's Charizard, Charmander. The flame on its tail indicated that it was in good health. Like Charizard, this flaming tail was a symbol of Charmander's vitality. The swaying flame indicated that Charmander was in a good mood. The label on its chest was exactly what the pirates needed to pass the level. "Idiot, what are you doing?" Seeing a pirate next to him trying to walk out, his partner immediately scolded him. "Go get that sign, otherwise how can you join our team? That little guy doesn't look very powerful. Idiot, this is a rainforest. Have you forgotten the python just now? How can this little thing survive in this environment? How can it be a weakling?" He lowered his voice and scolded his companions. At this time, a Pokémon that looked more like a dinosaur came out, with pieces of meat from an unknown creature stuck in its claws. This was Charmander's evolved form, Charmeleon. The biggest difference between them and Charmander is the extra angular corners on their heads and the reddish color. Compared with Charmander and Charizard, the middle form Charmeleon has a hotter personality and often uses its claws to tear apart its enemies. If Charmeleon's deterrence is not enough, the Charmeleon that landed right after it scared the pirates and made them realize how right it was to not act rashly. During these 3 days, some pirates failed in the internal struggle, and some pirates were not strong enough in the process of snatching the token and were taught a lesson by the Charizard family. There are also a few who are very strong and took the token from Charmander or Charmeleon and passed the level smoothly. And a few lucky people triggered the hidden conditions mentioned by Quinn. Due to special circumstances, they got along well with Charmeleon and were finally sent to the end by Charizard. At the same time, Sengoku received a new intelligence. Have the people sent out lost contact again? Yes, Marshal Sengoku. They seem to have been exposed suddenly. They may have been betrayed by someone, but the details have not been found out yet. I know, you go down. Yes. Tapping the table with one hand, Sengoku fed a document to his goat. After thinking for a moment, Sengoku took out a Dendenmushi again and installed a white Dendenmushi to prevent eavesdropping. Then he dialed a number and said a code and then got the other party's reply. "Marshal Sengoku, Major General Drake, there is a special mission. Put aside your work for now and come to the headquarters to find me directly." Yes. The internal intelligence of the Navy has been leaked many times some time ago. Sengoku has long suspected this, but there is no direct evidence to prove that there is a traitor in their ranks. Coupled with the impact of the 4 emperors outside, the unstable internal and external environment gave birth to the Special Force Sword and secretly infiltrated the 4 emperors. After a while, Drake came to the headquarters according to Sengoku's order and went directly into Sengoku's office. Reporting to Marshal Sengoku, Drake has been ordered to report to you. Well, our infiltration operation some time ago failed again. Drake, the time has come when we need you. Marshal Sengoku, what do you mean? Your ability is very consistent with the needs of the beast's pirates. The abilities of the ancient species can be well integrated into them. For the justice of the Navy, we need someone to enter their inner circle. Whether it is identity, ability, or trustworthiness, you are the best choice I can think of. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 924, The Fallen Rear Admiral, The Helpless Jin. Ex-Drake, male. The name is pronounced the same as Drake, but he is completely different from Drake of Beasts. He is currently a Major General of the Navy headquarters and a special member of the Sword Force. Even when Sengoku contacted him, he used a special code name. This is the rule of this force. When conveying confidential information or sending tasks, internal personnel will first use a code to indicate their identity. They are similar to the Navy's CP agency in the Navy, independent of the world government, and only serve the Navy. In the case of intelligence leaks, this force is the most trustworthy to Sengoku. Drake's origin is very dramatic. His father, Dies Bererus, was also a former Navy, but he chose to defect for his own reasons. Later, for the sake of profit, he wanted to use the surgery fruit to make a deal with the world government. Under Corazon's disruption, the fruit finally fell into Law's hands, and under Corazon's desperate protection, Law was saved from being discovered by Doflamingo. Fate intertwined at this moment, and the surviving Drake was taken away by Sengoku and retrained into a navy. When Drake was young, he admired his father. Because of his identity, Drake also wanted to become a navy. But for some reason, his father defected and became a pirate, and his temperament changed drastically, often using violence against Drake. After getting a new opportunity, Drake worked hard as a navy and successfully became a rear admiral. Because he was valued by Sengoku, he finally joined the team. The beasts are still keen on animal type ability users, and animal type ability users are more likely to be favored by Kaido. As a dragon fruit, ancient species, Allosaurus form ability user, Drake's ability is most suitable for undercover operations. Drake, this operation is very special. Except for a very few senior headquarters officials, even the headquarters vice admiral will not know your identity, and your subordinates and ordinary navy soldiers are even more so. You have to plan a defection by yourself, and successfully escape the encirclement. Acting may go wrong. So Sengoku wants Drake to make a real defection. Marshal Sengoku, in this case. I know, try to control casualties, and pay attention to your own safety. The vice admiral who is chasing you will not know that you are an undercover agent. You can only rely on yourself at that time. Whether it is defection or pursuit, fighting is inevitable. In order to make Drake defect perfectly, Sengoku is ready to pay a certain price of death. Yes, I understand. After today, the Navy lost a promising rear admiral and gained a fallen rear admiral. He was even written about in the newspaper by Morgans. The Navy also issued a purge order, which made Drake's journey very dangerous. At the same time, Jin also followed the clues to come to the magnetic drum island. The single-handed action made Jin very fast. He did not need to rely on ships. Relying on the strong endurance of the Lunarians, he could fly freely in the sky. Even the bad weather in the New World could not restrain him. The enemy had no way to restrict him. Unless he ran into a strong opponent like Kizaru who could fly, no one could stop him. Flying became his unique advantage. So Jin quickly arrived at the place where Drake had the accident, but traveling alone also has disadvantages. Without subordinates, everything has to be done by himself. He was chasing Blackbird. If he wanted to find Blackbird, he had to find out about him. But when a 6-meter tall stranger wearing black clothes and a mask appeared in front of him, most people's instinctive reaction was to run. Jin himself was not ugly, but very handsome, but his racial identity prevented him from showing his true face outside. Others ignored him and turned around and ran away. In order to get the news, he had to chase them. This scared many people and delayed his journey. It took Jin a lot of effort to get the news that Blackbird was going to the Drum Kingdom. This was the result of Jin's restraint. Quinn's title of torture pervert was not for nothing. Although Jin wanted to find a place for Drake, he looked like a boss who cared about his subordinates, but in fact, only very few people could get this treatment. His usual personality was much more irritable than Shaina. If he didn't restrain himself, the questioning would become torture. Drum Island, a winter island on the Grand Line. After Jin landed here, he began to look for insiders, but before he met people, he met rabbits first. That is a special kind of rabbit living on Drum Island, labbing. There are also many unique creatures living in the Drum Kingdom. For example, the hiking bears like mountaineers usually move on the snowy mountains with special mountaineering picks. Although it is a bear, it is very polite. If pedestrians walk towards it, it will boat a signal, and accordingly, people have to return the greeting. In addition to polite bears, there are also ferocious rabbits living here, which are the creatures in front of Jin. As a ferocious carnivorous rabbit, Laban has the agility of rabbits and the physique of bears. It often attacks prey collectively, but this time they chose the wrong opponent. Just by flapping its wings a few times, Jin knocked down all the rabbits. At the same time, he also found the villagers hiding in the snow. Before the villager could react, Jin had already picked him up and asked in a relatively gentle tone, "Is the person in charge here fainted again?" The psychological quality of these people is getting worse and worse. Throwing the frightened villager aside, Jin looked at the castle in the distance and flapped his wings to fly upwards. In the castle, Dr. Gurva was discussing the topic of kingdom management with Dalton, the king of the current Drum Kingdom. Strictly speaking, the Drum Kingdom has perished and is now the territory of the Sakura Kingdom. After Luffy defeated Wapol, a long-lost piece came here, and even Dr. 20, who was restricted by Wapol, has returned to freedom. Before Jin arrived, the Sakura Kingdom had been peaceful for a long time. Who is it? Relax, Dalton. He doesn't look hostile. On the sofa in the castle, a woman with long curly hair was holding a bottle of plum wine. She was Dr. Gurva, Chopper's adoptive mother and teacher. Compared to Dalton's nervousness, Dr. Gurva seemed very calm. This woman is said to have lived for 139 years. She is a living fossil of Magnetic Drum Island and the person with the most secrets on Magnetic Drum Island. Why, young man, what is your purpose in coming here? Do you want my secret to eternal youth? Woman, you are very brave. I'm not interested in that kind of thing. It seems that you are the manager here. I just want to know, does anyone know the whereabouts of a pirate who calls himself Blackbeard? His full name is Marshall D. Teach, and he is a very despicable guy. Chapter 925 The Real Bat King. He arrived in this country some time ago and wanted to find a doctor to treat him, but the doctors at that time were restricted by King Wapol of the Drum Kingdom and were not allowed to treat others at will. In the end, that guy and his crew directly destroyed the country, and Wapol was also driven away by him. No one knows what happened after that. That was the only time that group of people showed up. The residents of Drum Island had no good impression of Wapol, nor did they have a good impression of Blackbeard. Facing Jin's question, Dalton gave his answer straightforwardly. Where did those guys go? I don't know. That guy may have talked to the doctors. I can ask for you. Okay, I'll wait here. Then Gulliver took Dalton away from the castle temporarily, and Gulliver's attitude also made Dalton feel strange. She was too polite to be like herself. According to Gulliver's habit, she shouldn't have a good face when facing an uninvited guest like Jin. Dalton, you are too young, and as a king, you have to pay more attention to the outside world. That guy is a monster. The previous Blackbeard was able to destroy the Drum Kingdom. This guy can also destroy our Sakura Kingdom, if he goes crazy. There is no need to offend such a guy for such a trivial matter. Gurva has much more experience than Dalton, and they have nothing to do with Blackbeard, because it is meaningless to offend a powerful monster with just one or two words, especially a monster that can bring disaster to the country. The doctor on Drum Island still provided Jin with some valuable information. After roughly determining the direction of Blackbeard's advance, Jin once again embarked on the road to track Blackbeard. Near Gare Island, the style of painting on the Merry became more novel. Come, follow my movements. 1, 2, jump. On the deck of the Merry, Von Clay was taking Luffy and others to learn the human chainmail dance, and behind him were Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper. However, their movements were not as coordinated as Von Clay's. They bumped into each other during the rotation and finally fell on Zoro, who was dozing off. That's enough. Stop making trouble. Hero. Nami and Hercule held their foreheads helplessly, and their movements were surprisingly consistent. Although Von Clay was a chainmail, he was recognized by Luffy and others in terms of personality, but the problem was that he was not a quiet person. His joining did not calm the Straw Hat Pirates down, but made them even more abnormal. Chainmails, reindeers, Flower maniacs, road idiots, idiots. After a closer look, Nami found that the most normal person on the ship was a rhinoceros beetle. Looking at the record pointer in her hand pointing to the sky, she had to discuss with Hercule what to do next. Thanks to the Heracruses in her hometown, she had no language barrier in communicating with Hercule and could properly formulate the next plan. Sky Island? Are you saying there is really an island in the sky? Hehe, I haven't been there, but my companions have been there. Along the way, he often communicated with Heracrus, who he met, and he also got some information. Later on Gare Island, they met Killick. For those who don't have the ability to fly, the only route to Sky Island that can reach it safely is the top of the west sky, but the entrance of this road is very far from Gare Island, so Killick has never found the way to Sky Island. With the information provided by the tavern owner, he firmly believed in the existence of Sky Island, insisted on salvaging to earn living funds, and accumulated commissions. Whenever he met an adventurous pirate, he would offer to hire the other party to take him to Sky Island. But he never met a pirate who really had the courage to rush to Sky Island. After all, for ordinary people, the rushing ocean current is a dead end, and the probability of successfully reaching Sky Island is very small. It was not until Luffy arrived that he met such a group of warriors. Sky Island, like before, will charge entry fees to people entering, and the currency has also been unified into Bailey because of the beasts. The entry fee of 100,000 Baileys is not high, but Nami is stingy. After hearing that she can enter for free, she still chooses to save money. But when they entered the real Sky Island and saw the two flags hanging on the white sea, their hearts instinctively trembled. I say, does that flag look familiar? The Devil's Horn Skull flag and the Thousand Universe Cross flag were hung crosswise on the beach of Angel Island. Looking at the familiar pattern, a few drops of sweat dripped from Nami's forehead. I suddenly remembered that I have a disease that will kill me if I don't pay the money. How about Nami? Let's go back and pay the entry fee. But the person at the immigration office said that you can come in without paying. Faced with money, Nami's heart still hesitated. Looking at her tangled expression, Usopp's expression became tearful. Thump, thump, thump. While they were struggling, several arrows were stuck on the deck of the Merry, and in the sky, the fat man had already flapped his wings and flew over. Batman, the number 49 member of the Beast's Pirates, was the person left behind on Sky Island, so he naturally rushed over after receiving the news. In the original timeline, he had his own highlights. After all, he was also a little genius who could beat the 4 emperors. Unlike the original timeline, now he is not only able to burst into highlights with the help of the animation team. For Luffy, he is the real Bat Emperor. Hahaha, after several years, someone finally chose this path. Are you the ones who chose the trial? Trial? What trial? Huh? Didn't the old lady at the immigration office explain it to you clearly? Batman frowned, but still explained the rules of Sky Island today. Ordinary people have to pay to enter the country. If you don't pay, you have chosen the second path and participated in our trial. If you fail the trial, you have to pay double the entry fee. If you beat me, you can enter for free and get a chance to join us. Don't you know? Well, actually this is a misunderstanding. In other words, are you kidding me? According to our regulations, liars will be sent to mine. No. Usopp is my partner. I can't let you send him to mine. Blinking his eyes, the Batman was a little confused. He didn't know what the boy in the straw hat was talking about. He clearly said liar, and when did he say the word liar cloth? Stop talking nonsense. There is no chance to regret in our territory. We have come this far, so get ready to accept the trial. In other words, I just need to beat you? Naive newcomer, it's not you who beats me, it's you who beats me. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.